Okay, it's good morning from Sydney here, and good evening from Sweden and Amsterdam. We're here for a very special event, the Crazyhouse World Championship final between the new challenger catask and Jasugi99. The players playing for all glory with the title, but also the winner takes home 400 USD, and the runner-up will take home 200 USD. I'm joined here with a very experienced commentary team. We've got Jasugi99, of course, and commentators from last year, Clearcast and Mugwort. Very happy to introduce two new commentators, Zixon, one of our candidates this year, but also a veteran known as Firefly from freechess.org, and also Gnaeus, the real one. You can see his channel, The Real Gnaeus. He's been covering just about all the candidates' matches this year so far, and has, is the original Bughouse God from about 20 years ago. So we've got two of Sweden's best here from Bughouse and Crazyhouse. Welcome everyone. I think the games are about to start, and we'll just say this is my crazy idea to have 6 commentators. I've had very diplomatic responses from each commentator here saying, is this going to work? So we're all adults and we'll see how it goes. But it is Crazyhouse, so crazy ideas. Here we go. D4. And we're off.
Is this a matchup of E4 and against D4 players, or both players D4 players? Or
I was hoping so, but it seems not. Jasugi started with D4. He'd be the one most likely to go E4, but we might follow the trend of the candidates and have a lot of D4s. I think Yasu will be in Crazyhouse heaven. Clearcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But catask beat me 10-0 with D4. So
is that what we call an adoption?
Yeah, exactly. Traumatizing to watch this.
Well, this variation with this early H6 and 95, I don't like it for Black because of Bishop D3 and instant sacrifices are coming against G6. But H2, H4 also looks like a pretty direct move, I would say. Knight C6.
Yeah, the idea is usually to take on H6 and put the pawn on G5. It's not devastating unless you get another pawn. If you can somehow trade a pawn somewhere on the board,
right,
then you're really coming in on the black squares, and it's extremely hard to defend against it.
Precisely. And that's why the move Bishop D3 going for the 2 pawns in, against the piece sacrifice has my vote. But Bishop E2, okay, Knight C6. Normally, when I see that as white in such positions, I just like to take the knight on C6 and put it right back on E5. He didn't do that. That was a surprise for me.
Yeah, Queen E8 is going to be a very good response there, I feel, because you also cover G6 against your Bishop D3 threats or H5 threats later.
Good point.
It's what I like to do with Black.
Okay.
So catask is normally very fast in the opening, and I'm surprised he's taking a long time here.
He really is.
Do you think this setup is something Jasugi has prepared? I mean, he's had a whole year to do so.
Probably. H6, H5. Well, that shows a lot of discomfort. I mean, never mind the lengthy time thing there, but H6, H5. Usually when I play against a computer, it's almost impossible to give away a tempo like that. Bishop F3. Okay, guys, I'm out of my depth. I don't know what that was all about. Bishop F3. Help.
Yeah, I guess white can't actually
these kind
trade
of positions. Oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say, you can't trade a piece or sufficient pieces, so you've kind of got to improve slowly and then think the next move. You can see Jasugi is also taking his time as well, so both players are clearly out of any book. Go ahead, Zixon.
Yeah, I was going to say that in these kind of positions, it's very important, especially when you're playing 3-2 as time control. It's very important not to run out of useful moves. So often, if you have a useful move, even if it's not the very sharpest, keep improving your pieces. And the first person to run out of useful moves tends to end up in problems.
I see.
And that's where we're going to see, I think, if Jasugi is going to be strong enough, because catask has proven in the candidates that he is brilliant in those types of positions where you need a move. He just makes one, which is okay, maybe not best. And I felt like, well, there should be something here in my position, but then I spent like a minute and then I had an okay position, but then I lost in the end because he still managed to hold on. He's very strong in those positions.
Well, here again, a little bit of a think going on here with the pawn on c3. I just mentioned knight takes c6 a moment ago and put the knight back. Black has done the same. He's played knight e4 and put it back. I thought bishop takes e4 was almost forced, I wanted to say. And
there's no way to defend c3 otherwise. Yeah.
I mean, you have knight at d1 was the option, but I don't think Jasugi is the type of player who would enjoy a knight at d1 move.
Ulf Anderson would like a knight on d1.
He would.
He was very, very defensive minded. Knight g3, okay. Setting up knight takes f5 as well as bishop f6 and knight takes e4 threats, bishop g4. Okay, now things are getting very, very sharp indeed. Bishop b2. Wow. There goes a rook. Not the end of the world, of course.
I think Jasugi's got a position that he wants here. That's my feel.
Yeah, he's gonna play for knight at f5 soon, I believe.
I don't understand that last move, h6, h7. You take on g6 and you've got h5, right? As well as e6. I was thinking more of the h5 and opening up the h file, but this looks very, very ugly to me.
Well, the rook on h1 is defended, so you could just leave it.
Exactly.
You do have to be careful. Knight at f4, queen takes h1.
To take on
yeah,
h1,
rook at g1.
On g1. Or well, threat. But you could still do that.
Yeah. It would have been like a queen trade, though, right? Ooh.
No. But you also pacify the g3 knight back on h1, so it's easier to defend.
That is true.
I think e4 was a very good choice.
Okay. I would have probably put a pawn on e6 myself and gone for those trades that you just mentioned, but d3 looks, that's the creative tactical element.
At f2 and knight g4 coming if you take with the queen, so it's a very strong move.
Yeah,
you may have even started with pawn at g2.
Whoa.
And
wow.
there we go.
But now king f1.
King f1 seems safe.
King f1 is okay. I prefer Jasugi here still.
Yeah, g3's covered.
Right. Okay, now it's desperado time.
Yeah, but it still made this pawn at h7,
knight at
h6
yes.
if you take.
Right.
That's
very nice. Yeah.
wow. Jasugi draws first blood.
Nice finish.
I was wondering the whole game what Jasugi was going to do with his king. So it seems he was just waiting for a check and ready to sidestep with the king. Or if he had a moment, even castle's kingside was very safe. If it wasn't for pawn at d3, castle's kingside extremely safe.
I was a bit surprised when he took on e5. Actually, catask. I was thinking maybe he could have pseudo sacrificed on d4 and put a pawn on e4. But maybe I'm just hallucinating. I thought he got really passive there.
I'm looking at this variation of the French. I've tried it out myself lots of times, and I just feel that the position after e4, e5 right here, right now is almost, it just feels lost. It's a terrible restrictive move, and trades are just so favorable for white. Yourselves, what do you think? Is this position as bad as
queen g4 already here? It's such a powerful move sometimes.
Right?
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm on the back foot.
Yeah, bishop
defensive
d3,
mode.
preventing knight f5, and next move you're gonna play queen g4, and it's all.
In the winner,
Feels-
why can't just play normal moves in Crazyhouse? Just knight f3 and castle. It's already very
Yeah, as
comfortable.
well. Yeah.
Wow, c5. Now that has suicide written all over it. And oof.
I think
Not a
if
fan.
at
Is
this
anyone
level,
surprised to see catask play one e4? Has he done so at all in the candidates?
I don't
Yeah,
think
he did
so.
it twice against me, for example.
Okay.
I think he might be thinking that he is the better prepared player at e4. E4, e5 lines, I think you don't want to play against catask, for example.
Yeah, from memory, the history between these guys, I mean, obviously they have a, a lot of games under their
Long
belt.
history,
There have
yeah.
been a lot of e4s. Mostly 1-0.
But they usually, I looked at it when they're not playing 1-0, they have a lot of bullet games. But when they play 3-2 or 3-0 or blitz games, then it's e4, knight f6, e5, or knight c3. So e4, knight f6 is almost exclusively when they play e4, with a few e4, e5 maybe put in there. But, so this is a bit of a new territory between them. Of course, not for either of them, but against each other.
Makes sense, because it just feels to me like Black's position is on the precipice of defeat. Any pawns coming to f6 and d6, it just feels like whoosh, you're gone. And takes on b2, takes on a1 is not a terrible threat at all.
Now you're gonna have ideas with bishop b5 or bishop pawn on g6, bishop takes g6, force a queen trade.
Right.
Looks very dangerous.
Yeah, and just in that previous position, I might have preferred knight in hand to h5. It just, oof, it feels like. Okay, that's a little creative.
I think bishop b5 now, maybe.
Bishop b5, that feels crunchy.
You have to play something at d7. Queen trade is lost, I feel.
Right.
And you can go take f7, knight at f4 ideas.
Right, because b5 is not hanging in that case. I think he has ideas of bishop h5 check coming up. Oops.
Yeah, or knight g5, queen h5 later on, if you really want to get crazy. Or bishop at h5, whatever.
Nice. That's the big threat right now, and that's an attempt to defend the threat. Any takers for just putting a pawn on h5 and oops, pretty good.
Yeah, preparing knight d4 maybe even here.
I'm all looking at queen takes
Ooh.
queen takes d7, bishop e6.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was even looking at the previous move and then threats of bishop at h5 to follow.
Wow. Yeah, no, it feels very, very, very bad here. I just don't, I mean, you start putting pieces on the board and hope you can cover, but this looks really terrible. There you go. You just hope the guy doesn't have a takeout.
Okay,
Well,
so
how many of you would sacrifice on e6? Hands in the
Just take on c3, I guess. You're a pawn grabber, yes, sir. We have to remember.
Oh yes, that. Oh yes, oh yeah. that's definitely Christmas. Yeah, there we go. Very solid. But I did have the feeling that taking was going to be forced mate there. But okay, take on c3. Not, it still feels terrible, and no time either.
Yeah, the clocks are very telling. You've got, you say, whenever somebody goes into red and they're also on the defensive, it's tough, very tough.
Here, any takers for bishop in hand to b3?
B3, yeah, just pile up on E6.
Yeah, right, exactly, Neil. That was my thinking too.
And
There's no
now rook takes
blockers.
d7.
Yeah, no
Coming.
blockers for black.
No blockers. Okay. Preparing king g8. Now rook d7.
Yeah, or just still bishop d3. Or b3, I should say.
Yeah. Feels good too. Yeah. I'm looking at taking on e6 as well directly. Just feels so nice.
To follow with pawn at d5 or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think a task should have moved sooner.
There he goes. He did it. He did it.
It's probably
What
putting.
will catask is very precise in calculating, so he will take some time for that, and then usually he has a winning line.
Mm-hmm.
I like queen at c8 here and just grabbing
Free
c4.
bishop. Yeah.
Well, you always
Take
like
some bishop at
sacrificing your
e6,
queen.
maybe. Yeah, just sacrifice bishop at e6 or c4, I should
Well,
say.
there is a knight. Okay, I was about to say there is a knight coming to f4, but all right, he's got it covered. And rook goes to where? Check. Yeah. Rook to d3, perhaps.
The clock.
Queen takes d2 is a threat.
Look at the
Yeah.
clock. Ooh, the clock is really.
Oh no, the time trouble.
Yep.
This is where Jasugi can catch you. It's like it was Katask's
Just by
game,
hanging in there. Yeah.
but he's now in.
Yeah. Oh, e2. That was nasty. And the bishop will come cover f1.
Could be a long game ahead still.
Yeah,
Both players defending extremely well.
seriously. And White's queen has been hanging on h6 for forever.
Yeah, I thought a bishop should have gone to d6. Bring the rook
Well,
back
take
off the
the rook.
file.
Take the rook on d1. Oh my goodness, he didn't.
He's got knight at
he wants
g6
knight
prepared.
Yep.
Good for him. That's
Rook
that's
takes
a good
c3
shot.
maybe, or queen takes.
Ooh.
Yeah, knight to g6 check quickly. Bishop to c4 check. Pick up the rook. Oh, pick up the queen. Why not?
Rook takes f2 and hope for mate.
He's
Yeah,
running
but
to the
no.
queen
Trying
side.
to execute it.
Bishop at f1.
I think
Looks like it's
Katask
not
holds
there.
on.
It's not there. Mate on
e8
one.
mate. Yeah.
One each.
Wow, guys, that was tough.
Yeah,
That was a,
At some
that was
point,
a
Katask
finish.
moved with 0.1 seconds. That's a scary
there's some nerves.
prospect.
There's some nerves on Katask's side.
That is Jasugi's great talent to come back, to fight back in a position that looked totally lost.
Right.
He had some real chances.
Yeah, time became the absolutely key factor there. This all theory, Justin?
I'm probably not the one most qualified to answer. There's others here in the team that
You
should
want to ask
answer.
Neil, he's the
Well, in
E4,
most
E5
positions,
expert here.
black plays knight d4 and gives up the other pawn on purpose. And
Really,
then,
Neil?
yeah,
Ooh.
most typical positions, the pawn is not on d3 though already.
So there's how many? So the problem here is the immediate knight d4 just runs into knight e5 and
King f8,
maybe,
and then you want to play d6 quickly to push the knight back, and
or
perhaps
bishop.
drop the bishop on h5 or e2, depending.
I see. So something like knight d4, knight e5 check, king drops back, bishop e3. You want to play d6 and just give up a third pawn and just
Yeah, not in this exact
You don't
position.
want
I
to.
don't like, 'cause normally the pawn is not already on d3. There's no bishop e3.
Okay.
So that's why Katask is taking so long, because he's not familiar with this exact move order.
No, and it doesn't look like a particularly good one for black. I'm just f7 check, rook, knight takes, rook takes, knight can go to g5 check.
And then king g8, you should be okay.
I ran out of diagonals, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe h6 would have also been a decent start there.
This feels like a prepared idea from white to basically get black out of book by move 7 or 8, and now I think both players are on their own. So even though it's prepared, it's like, you know, just prepared to get a position.
It's very clever from Jasugi.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because he doesn't need to do a lot of preparation. It's only what 5-6 moves, and then he's got catask out of book.
Yeah, and well, this position probably should be okay for black. It's the out of book part, getting some time on the clock. That's important.
Recommendations here for black?
I mean, generally, when you're out of book, your position is okay because your opponent has done something a little bit unusual, but you got to work out why.
Right.
Bishop at d4 is maybe typical here, if you want to go all in.
With the intention of sacrificing on f2, you mean?
Yeah,
So
or just
after-
taking back on f6 after it takes f6.
Okay.
Here,
so
here I think it's risky, right? Bishop at d4, knight at g5, and then take f6, and knight at f7, rook h8 ideas, and it's.
Yeah, that's risky. You're right.
So maybe bishop at h4 is an option.
Bishop at h4. I was thinking that in that case, rook in hand would go to f4. But okay, he did it. He did sacrifice the knight after all. Knight to h4.
He didn't even think about taking on g2 with check there. I was surprised.
Yeah, that came instantly, right? like what? Knight g2 was definitely on my radar as well.
I guess in Bughouse, a typical move would be rook at g3 because it's not so easy to hit the rook.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, rook g3 would have my vote simply because the bishop in hand, and a bishop coming to g4 is like a little bit annoying, right?
Yeah.
The queen e7 automatic, and just ask white how are you going to block, especially with a minute down here.
Queen e7 automatic. So after something like knight e4, then d5. Okay.
I'm surprised Queen e7 wasn't played there, actually.
Yeah. Okay, this is getting interesting. Queen h7. We're taking on g3. We're taking on g2. Is that the... Ooh. An alert because
Knight takes g2 is on.
Yeah, and knight at f3 next. I was looking at that as well.
I was about to say there was a knight h8 check alert a moment before, but
Is king d2 the idea after knight takes g2?
Do you mean earlier? Or...
anytime respond with king d2.
Well, here there's knight h8 check. Where does he go?
Knight h8 check takes queen e7, bishop at f7 mate.
Wow.
Right.
Nice idea. Nice find. I think knight at h8 was...
He didn't even go.
He could go back king g8 immediately, clear cast. That was the resource.
Yeah. That was the resource. Okay. Close
Okay,
then.
bishop c3.
That was only move. But then maybe... Yeah.
Ooh.
You could nearly gamble with catask having 4 seconds. You could nearly gamble on knight at h8 because king g8 was only move, I think.
By the way, queen takes f3 came with check. I don't think when he put his pawn on f3, he wanted it to be captured with a check. Ooh, it's still anybody's. No, it must be white. White must be winning. Knight e6, knight f3, king d1. He was ready for queen f7. That came quickly. Ooh, that's, in the words of Larry Christensen, getting him from behind. That knight d8, that was a good one. That was a lights out.
Okay, so we've got 3 wins from white so far.
And now queen g4 immediately. Okay.
Okay, that's out of
So
book.
last time,
Surely, king f8.
Last time it was e5, knight e7, and this time queen g4 at once. Yeah.
And this must be the idea to play knight e7, f5. After queen h3, now I don't really know if that's the best way to go.
Well, again, I'm just looking at black's position, and there's nothing about it that I find appealing.
Yeah, it's what
It's
Neil
like-
said before. If white just plays developing moves, you should be okay with white, and it's easily much better in a lot of positions.
Indeed, right? Just bishop d3 and terrible things.
You
could
enjoy the
happen on
space a bit
c6.
in chess. You really enjoy it in Crazyhouse because
Right.
you can just sit there and you know that if trades are going to come eventually, they're always going to be good for the player with extra space.
Right.
Am I the only guy on the commentary team that can sympathize with Jasugi's king f8? I think I'm
No, I
actually
think
okay with.
I would definitely have played it as well. I think it was a very nice move. I mean, the position is very difficult to play for black, of course, but king f8 is. I think it's a strategically smart move against catask. Don't let him play the normal position.
Yeah, strategic. I agree with. Certainly, just to be out of book by move 4 or 5, and it's not a game over. But if you're not comfortable with playing it, it's quite difficult to maneuver.
Okay, but a forced move isn't necessarily a great move. Maybe I would look at the move king f8 as being forced, but not necessarily wonderful for the position. For example, after knight e2, right here, right now, just defending d4 and saying to black, please make a move. It's not that easy to make a move.
But if Jasugi wins this game, psychologically, that's hard to wear, because if you're saying, what was it, move 4, king f8, and then you can say, well, I can win a game with black with king f8. It's a big confidence booster for black, and it's crushing for white.
H4, guys, I mean, does that move get an applause from anybody? Okay, that move gets an applause. Knight takes d4. I wouldn't have allowed this 2-pawn sacrifice. Maybe black can now shore things up, but a moment ago there, no. Queen g7 and h6, is it?
Nah, not even I would do that.
No.
King g8 is fine, I guess. That's the response.
Really? No, there wasn't enough pawns. Well, one.
Yeah.
No, not enough pawns. Okay.
Is it too early to say that black is out of the woods yet?
Queen takes c5 might be a threat here.
Right. No, I think it's still. I mean, you cement as best you can, but I just have a feeling that white still has multiple threats. Now knight g6 is especially egregious. By the way, just a big shout out to everybody who's joining us. Thank you for coming and sharing your evening with us all. It's We're looking to have a lot of fun in this World Championship. Knight G6, guys.
Yeah,
That looks like a great move.
Yeah.
yeah, it does. King G8, Knight E7, Queen E7, Knight G6. But maybe you can just drop the rook on H8 and you're still okay. I'll just acknowledge a donation, $5 from Zaraza. Thanks for the support.
Absolutely.
And also
Thank
acknowledging
you.
Zaraza's efforts this year, interviewing a number of players. It's been great to have that content as well, to give some personality to the tournament. She's taken H8 straight away, so maybe there's something.
I would have never taken the rook. I would have taken on E7 and taken a pawn on D5. Like, give me that guy. But okay, he used his rook at once with rook H5.
I thought the queen was coming to H5 actually.
Yeah. A little
Yeah,
confused there as
Queen
well.
H5 block and knight D takes E6 look very strong.
Definitely.
This
Here,
is
pawn to G6.
less convincing. I mean, pawn at G6 or something. I'm sure white is still much better, but
Exactly.
Yeah, Zixon, I think yours and my eyes lit up on the same light squares. Queen H5 and sack on E6 and go for G6. It looked really clear.
Sack mate, right?
But okay, white's not bad here. White's not bad here.
No, white's doing.
And this is catask in true form, just going knight C2.
Ooh, I'm looking at the dark squares after knight at F8. Like knight F takes D5, pawn at H6 quickly.
Right.
I just feel Katask's going to take no risk and,
use
Queen
his
H5.
clock advantage.
Yeah.
he doesn't have to risk anything.
Well, it's one of those positions that he's got a positional overkill all over the place, right? I mean, bishop is coming to E5 or G5, like bishop. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, it's this position where you contemplate letting your clock run out instead of making a move.
Pity.
Damn, I lost some time.
Fionchetta rating with a party of 402. Well, welcome everyone.
Welcome everyone. Yeah.
We're here for the Crazyhouse World Championship final between defending champion Jasugi99 and the challenger Catask. Thanks Fionchetta for the raid. That's massive. Great to have your support.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. As we've got quite the host of commentators, 6. So far, we're doing a great job of not tripping up ourselves.
We don't even need the talking stick to pass around.
Right.
We've only just started too. We've done 4 games out of 20. And after today, there's another 2 sessions to go.
Yeah, so it's 60 games of 3+2 Crazy House altogether. We're splitting it across 3 days. Today's the first day. You're seeing the first 4 games. White has won each game so far. And we'll play 20 games today. We'll have 20 games in 2 days' time. And then another 20 games 2 days after that. So your start time is, depending which country you're in, but 7 p.m. Central European time. For the Swedes and the Dutch on the call today. And I think it's 6 p.m. UTC, 10 a.m. PST, and 1 p.m. EST.
And how are you doing in Sydney?
5 a.m. here in Sydney the next
5
day.
a.m. in Sydney. Yeah, there we go.
You can always pretend to be awake.
Justin, what do you
think of this bishop e3 in the opening? I see you try stuff like this just to play some moves and get out a book.
Yeah, bishop e3 usually to stop anything with knight takes f2, just to get the structure where you can castle and play a slow game here. So yeah, I mean, white hasn't got everything out of the opening. I think white actually wants this bishop on e3 to be captured to open up the f file, but black's under no pressure to
black wants the bishop on g4 to be captured by the same token.
Yeah, so
just leave it there.
h3 maybe it's just stopping a pawn going to h3 of blacks. You might not want to take a g4.
king f8 maybe, and just say, do you want to take on g4? Be my guest.
Sorry, Yasa, did you suggest king f8 there?
I did.
Okay.
Right now, right here, right now. I'm just saying I don't like to castle, right? Castling would be, well, not good. And I definitely don't want to take on e2 or take on e3 for the reasons you were just marking out as well.
Oh, and king f8, you can maybe have knight takes d4 ideas later.
Precisely so.
Okay, e3
He's
bishop is
going-
taken.
He's going for this variation.
Yeah, maybe takes f4 and knight at g3 stuff comes, or takes e2, same idea. Yeah.
And
So the trick
And you
here
take on
is that
f4 and you play knight at e2, and
right.
it's very hard, I think, for white to defend.
yeah, so h3
Pieces.
made the weakness on g3.
Right.
Abhijit, thanks for the donation. Just so you know, you'll see at the bottom there's a donation towards next year's Crazyhouse World Championship 2022 fund. You'll see we've already started with over $600. $600 has actually been redonated back by the candidates from this year that either did not complete or have decided to donate their prize back. So that's where the donations are going to if you're enjoying the content here today. So bishop takes f4, or are we
Looks
gonna
like
hold?
the move to me, followed by a knight to e2 check. I'm guessing it's going to force. He did go to h2 after all. I was wondering which square he wanted, but it's kind of poisonous either way, right?
Maybe
Bishop g5 now, maybe.
Yeah, or h4.
h4, yeah.
I don't think taking a rook anywhere is what black wants to do at the moment. It's probably just consolidate on some weaknesses.
I love the move h4. That move just feels so crunchy. Yeah, precisely so. When the move queen d7 was s8, I must say I didn't like it, but somehow it worked out very, very fine.
Okay, so queen takes g7 is the point here. Can you play knight takes d3?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I thought rook
And
at
then
g8,
rook at g8
may
was
have been an
okay.
adequate defense.
You're trapping the
Right.
queen.
Knight takes d3. Certainly it's the move you want to play. It's because you've got h4 ideas as well. But I mean, you still have h4. h4 is like the big, I don't know how that stops it, but that's the big threat. It protects h2.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to protect against rook at h2 later. That makes sense.
forgive my use of the
Precisely.
term, yes, but prophylaxis. Yeah, the knight defending h2.
Überdeckung, yes, sir. What would Nitzowitsch say, right? Yeah.
Right. Knight takes e5. Oh, he didn't even take the queen. He just immediately recaptured the knight. Knight takes e5 and knight takes d7, sacrificing the queen, was what I thought black
You
should
could
do.
even
He
say
did.
extra prophylaxis, how he went knight at f3 rather than move the knight on the board,
Correct.
just in case it's traded on f3.
Correct. But I agreed with his conservative approach. And you can,
Yasugi saying in the chat of the game, oops, he pre-moved that move and it was not a good idea.
It wasn't a good idea. It looked strong.
Yeah, I meant he pre-moved d takes e5. So he lost the bishop on a4.
I see. I see. He pre-moved that.
He was expecting knight g takes.
I think he just maybe didn't think for a
He just
second.
did
But
some
this
pre-move.
catask is in big time trouble here.
Once again.
Okay, is there a mate on here?
On d7?
If there is, pawn d7 should be the move.
Yeah, king f8, queenette.
Right.
It's
Queen
probably
at knight
not enough.
d6, maybe.
Because the king goes to d7 after queen e8 takes. takes knight at d6, king d7, and I think
Knight
that's
c5.
okay. You only have one
No, you
knight
only
though.
have one knight in hand.
Ah, yeah, my bad.
You have to play bishop d7 if you want knight c5, but then I don't think you have enough.
Ooh. Okay, it didn't matter actually because rook e8, it's the same thing.
Well,
was
White's
about
not
to say
defending
queen.
this, so if he's not mating, then
Yeah, I think
For
this
sure.
one's going to
it's
catask.
over.
Bishop to c8, perhaps. Yeah.
You may be about to see the first black win of the match.
How rare is a black win at the? I mean, obviously in classical chess, it's like it's terrible. But
Rook
in
takes
Crazy
g1
House,
was probably. Oh, you don't have to take that risk. Rook takes g1.
I wanted to put a pawn on g3 and just overkill.
Bishop at a4 now. Okay, grab the rook.
Black is not.
Black's still fine. This is just
But rook takes
Jasugi.
g1, your idea, I think it's winning, but there's just no time. So just
Rook.
But-
Yeah, he's got so many heavies. Just
Yeah.
sacking on h2 will eventually work.
You can-
exactly. Rook takes g1, rook at h2 is winning.
Whoa,
Now-
whoa.
Oh my
Whoa,
goodness.
whoa.
Yeah,
Oh
white
my
wins.
god, it's Nate.
So yeah,
Oh my
king
God.
yeah, he gets a check. He needs another b4. No, not yet.
Rook takes a6, brilliant.
What a move. B4.
Hang on,
Oh,
pawn at
hang
b4
on.
is not winning.
Yes.
Oh no,
Oh, it's not.
It's not.
it's not winning.
I apologize. I thought it was winning
No.
as
And
well.
knight takes c6 was necessary, maybe. I think.
White
Knight
must have
takes
had a win in there.
I think you're
Sure.
right. I think he's missed it at the very end.
Knight takes c6 instead of pawn takes b4, because on king b5 you have knight a7 and the king has to go back to a5, and then you have an extra pawn.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
pawn at b4 and pawn at b3, so he doesn't have a3, so that should be mate.
Yes, agreed. Wow, that
But
was
okay,
a big
it was a-
turnaround.
It was a chance he didn't deserve. I think catask was winning that game before already.
But yeah, I think you should be decisive with rook takes g1 there at this level.
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
Jasugi, like
Rook
he
takes
had,
g1, king takes g1 was tricky. Rook at h2 was the easy one. Then it's that's kind of simple, because then you have to, if you have to take with the knight, you take on a g1 next, and then rook at h1, knight at g3, and then it's easier. So rook at h2 I think is the cleanest way, but rook at g1 I'm sure works as well. There's so many pieces.
Right. Yeah, definitely a clear miss there.
Against most opponents, Catask king is so safe that he can afford to slow play the finish.
But you
not,
saw-
not go for the instant kill.
Jasugi had nothing on that position, and still somehow it nearly ended up in mate. Which is why, like, if I'm playing against Jasugi and I see, okay, this looks like mate, got to grab it.
Take it.
Or somehow, like 2 minutes later and 20 moves down the track, he's got an opportunity and he takes it.
Definitely. Once again, gentlemen, I'm looking at a position that I just look and it just feels terrible for black. I mean, white has a pawn in hand, which is huge. The knight on g8 ever moves, the pawn goes to h6 or f6. Black's king is just not going to be safe for the next 20 moves. I don't want to say it too often, but this feels like an opening disaster to me. I'm looking at it and I hate black's position.
I agree objectively, but on the other hand, I think Jasugi's quite comfortable just to get a position which Catask can't bang out 10 or 20 moves of theory.
That's what's going on, maybe. Okay. Still, I somehow chasing the queen to f7 I don't think was the most useful thing that white could have done in that position, but still feels terrible. Cold shivers.
Yeah, pawn at b5 here, for example.
Yeah, pawn to b5. Thank you, Clearcast. Absolutely. I need a knight.
Exactly. And h takes g5, knight takes g5. I think you should be happy there.
Definitely, I am.
Is anyone thinking bishop h4 here? Because bishop h4, if you entice g5, you just capture with the bishop.
Yeah, extra free pawn.
It has my vote. I like bishop h4.
But bishop h4, bishop e7, and if you ever got control of the black squares there, you can start marching those pawns. It might be very good, but it's also a bit risky. This is much safer.
Okay, bishop h4, bishop e7. But does black want to capture on h4? So
no, but you threaten, but you can play g5 next when you have the bishop on e7, because then you don't get the knight on g5 invading.
Got it. Good point. Good point. Okay.
Yeah, strategically true, but maybe there's some knight takes d5 tactics coming and e6 push.
The black's position is precarious. There's very large chance that there's stuff for white in almost any position here. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, pawn to f6 takes once, and h6 is also hanging. We could put a pawn on g5. So f6 takes, queen takes, bishop h6 is one idea, or just to put a pawn on g5 and not bad.
So where's that knight gonna go? It's not gonna go.
It's not going. It's not going. Ooh, this looks very good. Very good.
Maybe pawn to g4 here. I think you've got to leave f6 alone.
Right. But he will take on e7.
And also, I can't see
drop the
Jasugi playing any other move, having played him enough. It just screams pawn to g4 from him. Ooh, okay, this is a nice move.
It probably says something about me that my initial reaction was bishop at h8, but yeah.
The spirit of Ulf Andersson lives in Sweden.
Absolutely.
Nice. Love it. Love it.
It's in Sweden we have a chess club that's one of my favorite chess clubs names. It's called Draw is both good for both players.
An Ulf quote.
Possibly, I don't know, but certainly in the Ulf spirit. Yeah.
Knight takes d5. That was unexpected for me. Wow.
Oh, nice game. Nice game.
Crazy game. Knight takes d5. Okay. That wasn't on my radar. Who saw that? There's a knight e2 check.
No, I think you've got to address queen at h8. But
yeah, takes, bishop takes g6 should be made. Knight at h4 next.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was, in some ways, that was a pity because black was somehow fighting back.
Maybe e takes f5 was still asking white to play on. I mean, you had queen at h8, but at the end of that, you could have rook takes g7 and still keep a king on g7. But yeah, allowing bishop takes g6 is too much.
Yeah. By the way, gentlemen, conversely, I'm a fan of this position for black. The French position where the bishop is, for example, on g6 feels much more defensible to me than the bishop on c8.
I think this is a mistake actually by Jasugi entering this line. I felt catask felt very much at home in the previous game in this line. And as you say, this is very playable for black. And Jasugi was thinking after the fourth or fifth move already, which means he hasn't analyzed it really. So I think black is doing just fine already.
Right. Yeah. My feeling exactly.
Yeah, I think it's just okay for white, and just okay for white is very good for catask with black. Like black has a fairly easy line of play here as well. Like last time we saw, a bishop go to g4, h5.
Right.
and there's a target on d4. It's not
Yeah, I like
bad
this
for
move.
white. It's just strategically it feels like you said, Gneis, it's catask is at home here.
I like that idea from the previous game as well. Put a bishop on h6 just to eyeball the e3 pawn.
Do you take
And
on
defend
d4 here?
G7.
Or?
Yeah, I was looking at knight takes d4 as well. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 pawns.
The
That
two
feels
pawns, and you're
good.
either undermining e5 or threatening queen e3. If queen e2, you've got bishop takes c3. So knight takes d4.
I'm warming up to it. I think knight takes d4. If it was good before, it's even better now.
Yeah, it should be
That
fine now too.
invites knight f3. He's going to sacrifice his queen for
Yeah.
knight and a pawn. Knight f3, queen g3, and bishop e3. Is that his plan?
Yeah, tremendous compensation on the dark squares then.
Agreed. Agreed.
And the additional option of just taking on e3. If you take the queen, you have knight takes d4. You have 2 pawns in hand, and the queen is hanging. It's also
Yeah.
devastating, I think.
Yeah, this is a nice way in from catask, because maybe he gets to keep the knight on d4 this way. This is just losing a few pawns, isn't it? Knight takes d4 is...
This feels like over knight d4. Nah, this is just, it's got to be fantastic for black.
I mean, there's pawn at f4 here if he's thinking of a different move.
Yeah, well,
what else is a
taking on
candidate against knight takes d4? That's kind of what I'm looking at.
I'm thinking of taking on c3, putting a knight maybe on f4 in that case, or a pawn on f2, but knight takes d4 is just so compelling. I didn't look too much beyond that.
Yeah, unless he's playing off a principle. If you see a good move, look for a better one. But knight takes
maybe
d4.
he felt like he had to check knight takes d5 or something. I don't know. Just playing devil's advocate here.
Why can't even trade queens because of bishop takes c3 coming and queen at g1?
Well, here we go.
Here it comes.
Yeah, Jasugi learned something from the.
But he takes
during
d5.
during the adoption phase.
That was catask. Jasugi, I held 6-4 last time we played candidates.
That's a strong result. But queen at g1 is a mate threat at the moment. So you could play knight at f3.
Rook f7. Rook f7.
Oh, rook f7 you could play. Yeah. So that rook f7, queen g1 means the rook on a1 can defend g1, and the rook can here defend f2 and avoid the smothered mate.
Yeah.
Are you threatening anything? What if I go pawn at f3 after rook at f7?
No, we're threatening to live. Threatening to live more than 2 moves.
Leave me alone. I'm alive.
So pawn at f3, pawn at f2, maybe.
Oh, it takes rook takes f3.
I can't play queen h3. The other bishop is guarding.
Yeah.
Okay, you called it.
We're spot on there. Okay, bishop takes from
pawn at e7.
How is that?
Bishop takes e7, rook takes f3 is his idea. Then knight at f7 is a mate threat. So he's just denying him the knight at f7 mate. So if rook takes f3 here, black can play knight takes f3, and knight at f7 is not mating anymore. Very advanced idea.
How about pawn to f2 now?
A very advanced idea to live.
Yeah. Or do you like?
Knight takes f3.
Do you take the rook? Do you take the rook? Yeah, knight f3.
Yeah, I think knight takes f3 looks okay. Knight at e6 you just take with the queen because knight at f2 is coming, or queen at g1
is a mate. Yes. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Oh.
Yeah, so there's a pawn
Still
f2
kicking,
defense.
Threatening to live. Something to be said for pawn to, I don't know, c2?
What about pawn at e6 using the same idea?
I would just play rook at e1 and bishop takes e1.
So the reason I was attracted to this, obviously, is just the first rank. Checkmate, just put a rook on b1 and start hacking pieces off the board.
So g takes f3 here, and then rook at d1, rook takes, c takes, rook at f1 to block so that you can keep 2 knights for c6 and b7.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Okay, so equally, knight f1 blocks, but now you lose your grip
Ooh.
on d7 possibly.
Right.
And then it's hard for white to...
Ever make a
Well, it
threat.
was hard for
Bishop
white
takes
anyway.
f2.
That's certainly today's truth.
He just takes the pawns, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought maybe queen g1 already was mate.
Right.
Wow,
Knight.
catask 5-2, very impressive. Very impressive.
Impressive. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's like you went from bad to the inevitable happening to you. It's like, why did you let the inevitable happen? So, okay, catask to d4.
Why does catask change opening here? It was doing fine in the previous game with the French line with queen g4. Why does it change to d4?
True. It's very, very confusing for sure.
Okay, queen g4. This
Okay,
catask has played
queen
this, and knight at g6. I think is a theoretical move here. Believe it or not, I think it's the difference between knight at g6 and bishop at g6. And I think you have to preserve the bishop for f5, possibly. But that was
knight h5 here, guys. Knight h5 and just start putting stuff on the f6 square.
so.
Or maybe you're not afraid of losing the g7 pawn.
Somehow
Yeah, I
the
was thinking
queen,
about
the queen
leaving it
is
there
in
and going
danger.
king
Eh?
d7.
Exactly.
But you don't want to play bishop at f5 because then knight will take it from g7.
Precisely so. That was why I like knight to h5.
One thing that's good about placing a knight on h5 is that it denies black playing h5 himself also.
Case in point is
no truer
another
words have ever
advantage.
been spoken.
It should be called
Another advantage of
Ganea's
having
the
knight
wise
on
one.
g6, defending the mate on e7 after bishop takes d8.
Right.
Yeah, queen trades probably favors black, but how to avoid it, right? If you go queen h3, there's bishop g4 or pawn g4.
I'm not a fan, but I thinking queen e6 just because of exactly what you said. Queen h3, bishop g4, pawn g4. White.
Yeah, that's a nice desperado. You open the f7 square.
But isn't that mate? Like queen takes c6, f takes, bishop takes d8, knight at h3 looks like mate. The g takes,
yes.
knight e2 check, king h1, pawn at g2. I've got a knight on g6 coming to f4. I think the theoretical points of the knight on g6 are that it actually covers e7 to prevent the mate if the queen is taken on d8, and also it's aggressive on f4. It's just instinctive to put a bishop on g6
right
to cover h5. But
well, that's a marvelous example of what you just said, Justin. And by the way, I do agree with you wholeheartedly that queen e6 would end up getting mated after h3, knight h3 in the end.
Yeah, that's why you start with bishop at g5, bishop at b5. I mean, so you cover e2, and then you do queen takes e6 and bishop takes d8, because then there's no knight e2 check, so you're not getting mated. Of course, it gives away a piece, but it does enable you to take on e6. And I think maybe it's white's best chance here.
Yeah.
You'd only play bishop at b5 if you've exhausted all your other options, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why he's using all his time. It's
Yeah, that's the other option. Use
Wow.
as
There we
much
go.
time as you, as
So
you can.
knight takes
Bishop
b5.
b5. He's
Well, you've got to take b5 here.
exactly.
I feel like maybe
By the way,
Jasugi's
25
seen and gone, well, what? Why is there a free bishop? I have to see what's behind this.
Right.
So exactly as our commentators have pointed out, this is the reason. So there's no knight e2 check that mates
Killer.
black. But still, black's just got too much material here. You can play rook takes d8 even, I feel, and pawn at f7, king e7, or maybe king f8.
High step it, yeah.
Avoid bishop g5 check.
There is the old double attack queen d3, but I'm not a big fan of that move, hitting b5 and g6. Yeah.
Bishop at e4, probably.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not a fan. f7, king d7.
King d7 is okay. I think Jasugi is just taking his time to decide between f8 and d7, which one's better. If king f8, knight at h7, and then king e7, maybe king d7 is more accurate.
King f8, knight d7, and you have king e7, also fine.
Yeah, I thought it would be knight at h7, but then even you, I don't know if you can take it. The idea was king e7, bishop g5 check. Wow, he just gave up a knight there.
The other one was hanging too on g6, a very fancy way to win the piece back.
Exactly.
But
here you're facing the music. Knight h3 is
yeah, but knight takes e4 is
okay. So king c8 here.
Watch out! Yeah.
You think king e7, but is king c8 better for a reason? It could be.
Because you're threatening this knight h3 and it's just mate on the spot.
Yeah.
He had to do that. I was thinking that knight c5 wasn't a very good move, that he should have played queen c6 check and then knight c5. So that.
But then king e7, and how do you proceed?
No idea.
Exactly, because after bishop at g5, you can just take f7. There's no knight cheat.
I like the point from Ghanaius. If white had played knight at h5 instead of bishop at g5, it's a completely different game. Once black had h5 in there, catask is in the think tank for 2 minutes, and
yeah,
it feels like black's doing just fine.
I'm sure Katas realized that. He had to learn the hard way, though.
I'm sure he will play that if they go again in this line. I think both of these players have a good feeling of where they went wrong. Even though they don't know its theory, they feel like, oh, this must be the wrong move. I have to play something else.
Good instincts. What's going on here, guys? This is a very confusing move. Knight e5 right out of the opening. Knight f3 to e5. I found it confusing.
Yeah, maybe Katas knows something. Sorry, go ahead.
We all agree. The silence was telling.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, bishop c5, knight e4. You got, or maybe any takers for knight d5 right here?
Yeah, there's knight e4, knight d5, knight takes c7. Knight d5, I don't see much wrong with. I just wonder if is pawn at e3 really anything to be too concerned about? Because knight d5 also covers e3.
Right.
Maybe black can castle followed by pawn at
after
e3.
knight d5, d takes c3, knight d takes c7, king e7. You're threatening bishop f2, and it's very complicated.
Favorable for white, though, right?
I like
probably.
e3. That's a challenge.
Yeah, I like e3.
That makes one of us.
Well, that's your worst fear is white. If a black pawn lands on
Jammed
e3,
in.
and that could be game over.
Okay. So here I'm thinking knight takes d4 because I'm feeling like that bishop is useful as a useful attacker, and the knight on b5 is not as useful. So knight takes d4. If you want to open up the e file, you got to work for it.
Yeah, so it's interesting here in Crazyhouse, right? Black's basically offering a free piece in the opening for mobility, basically a pin, and a few easy moves after that. But it's probably an acceptable strategy. So rook e8 could be coming, or maybe it's
I'm
a6.
guessing-
Pawn on d4 is already a source of compensation, just hampering white's development.
I think his intent is rook e8 pawn to e5, and then he wants to put his bishop to g5 and start hacking away on f6.
It's pretty sharp here. Pawn at
Yes.
e5 is a bit of an all-in kind of move.
Surprised they didn't take with the knight on d4, because trading the knight on b5 for the active bishop on b6 would have been a great trade.
Yeah, the knight on b5 looks like a liability that's a target for white, and the black bishop on b6 is an asset for black, and you want to trade on d4.
What was the response after knight takes d4, rook e8? In some lines, the knight on d4 hangs. I think that was his problem, or at least why he felt he shouldn't do knight takes d4.
So you feel ED was necessary, so you don't play pawn at f3 to cover the knight.
Yeah, so you can play pawn at e5 to defend actively.
Maybe there was a pawn to e6 in that case. Knight takes d4, rook to e8. In this position, though, gentlemen, what is the alternative to taking on e5? Right now, it just looks like you're kind of committed, aren't you, to taking on e5?
As bishop takes d4, possibly.
It feels
it's a bit slow to play a6. Black would like to kick the knight away, but
right, it's very slow. Okay, h3. I applaud that move. I like that one.
You play queen h5, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking queen f3, knight h4. So queen h5 is the next try. Bishop e3. Wow, what the?
That would have been threatening knight takes f6 and knight at h6 at some point.
Aha.
And you may get it with check with pawn at g7, knight takes f5 before covering g1, rook g1.
The clock factor once again.
Doesn't seem to be a way to exploit the loose bishop on f5.
Yeah, I think black is so well coordinated here. You must have.
So I like queen h5 better before black had a pawn in hand for g6.
So queen h7 is automatic, knight g5. On king g8, there's pawn to h7.
So you hear like draw, draw. How should black
step? Good
step?
for the people who were a bit bummed out that there's a draw in the total score right now. It would resolve that. But I don't see how black can avoid the draw. I think he has to go for it. Oh,
he's playing for the win.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that clever?
It's very safe. But I mean, white's not in trouble here either.
No,
and clocks are now even. So Jasugi's got he's got play.
I like that move.
Well, pawn at c6, amazing. You have to take with the king, I think. It's hard to see in time.
Knight takes a7 if you take with the king is very strong.
Ooh, knight takes a7.
Ooh, but that was a bad move. Queen A8. Oh, no, it wasn't. Check.
What?
Oh, knight F6 check. No, he didn't
Look at
play
the
knight
bishops.
F6.
I think black is still safe. Look at the bishops.
Queen F7,
unless he's
knight
got queen
F6.
F7, knight F6.
Knight F6.
Yeah.
And then
Is
you
it
can
knight
take on
F6?
c6. Yeah, so it's knight f6, and then you want to take on c6 because it would defend e8. What?
No.
Oh, that
Oh,
was
it's
a mouse slip.
Oh no.
Oh
A
no.
mouse slip. Oh, brutal.
That was a forced mate, right?
It's close.
I was about to
No,
say
the queen's
pawn to
covering e8,
E7.
but that's
That was huge. Pawn to E6, king to G7.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's funny,
for
he's
Jasugi.
walking right back. Oh, that was a terrible mouse slip. But
You
the
nearly
move C6 check was amazing.
pawn at c6. Yeah.
That was an amazing.
To sack the queen on h7 and come away with something so close to mate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was just as surprised as yesterday to see queen at a8 because I thought there was no follow-up, but then queen takes c7 check.
It was amazing. Yeah. What's the latest and greatest in theory in this line? I used to play it some time ago as black, but I got dissuaded. Is it still considered playable, or?
I think it's okay for black. I mean, I'm usually happy to see the queen go back to d8. Keeping it on the 5th rank somewhere is it's an active piece that is not vulnerable. I don't think.
I took a quick look at the position there where he blundered, and the knight to f6 check was plus 40 or something.
Yeah.
Only, yeah. We thought knight f6 check was on tap. Here, if I'm in white shoes, I'm playing the move d4, d5.
Yeah, I
With
think
the-
that's theoretically sound as well. It's been played
Okay.
a lot of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
But sorry, Andre, plus 40?
Yeah, I just moved a couple of moves ahead, and it said plus 40.
Nice.
It didn't find a mate, but it was just over after knight to f6.
I feel like Jasugi was maybe holding his queen about to capture a piece and then decided to leave it on f7 and then just missed by 1 square. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, doctor, if you could explain to me my mouse slips, that would be great.
Didn't you call it a
It hurts.
mouse roll? I don't know what a mouse roll
Mouse
is,
roll?
but
Oh, that's when you shove your mouse, it just rolls off the mat, makes the one blunder you didn't intend.
Isn't this fantastic for white? What am I missing here?
I think queen a6.
I'm
If knight
expecting queen
d6,
a6.
if knight d6, you get 2 pieces with a queen. It's probably okay for black.
That's a good deal. I'm a little bit afraid that you don't take the queen.
Yeah, knight e5, knight c5,
That's a nice move.
Oh,
Okay.
Queen to a4.
queen b6. I was expecting, but
Me too. Queen
Oh,
d6.
yeah.
Queen a4. Yeah, nice.
What?
wow.
Okay.
Whoa.
And not even I was thinking that. So
Okay.
That's
Now
a bad
that was deep. But now you can't castle. That's funny. Pawn to f6. Wow.
But this is so passive.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. That is for sure. By the way, I really like that last move. I think this last move by white, g5, is enormously strong. Okay, knight h5. There's a pawn coming to e2, right? But there is knight takes f6 check in that case. I must say, I really like the way White has played this, like from that whole opening with the queen on h5 and queen on a6. This has been good stuff.
How to defend, guys? I mean, you'd want to play bishop e7. That's the advantage of having the queen in hand. You just go pawn g7, queen h8. Do you have to go pawn at g7?
Can you play pawn at e2 here?
I was thinking it was mate, but
Knight takes f6, king e7, and then you test white.
Queen takes e2, move the knight somewhere, I guess.
Okay, but black gets a queen back.
True.
Yeah. Probably better than this.
Yeah, this does not look competitive.
Yeah, I mean, pawn at e2 might not be sound, but strategically, I feel if you defend as black here, you're going to lose that battle in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You make White prove he has mate, and if he doesn't, you may have a chance. And now you just lost.
Right.
Yeah. For the Bughouse players here, you know, your partner's not going to save you. Somebody's going to put mate on the board. So.
Right.
I like the way he didn't hesitate to put his queen on G1 there.
Yeah. This is
he just wants to make
safe.
To make his king safe, and the rook is almost as good as a queen at delivering mate there.
So mind you,
I agree.
material is now exactly balanced, but white just seems in the driving seat with the initiative.
Right. Oh.
That's the safe and solid move. I would have played bishop at b7.
There's no checkmates for black after this move. I mean, that ended that fun. Oh boy. I was about to say bishop to b7 also had my attention there, but what he's done is just excellent, of course.
So I'd like to make a reference here. I remember once catask made a comment. I think I was playing against Jasugi, and I was probably in decent form, and he said something about, "Oh, John Lee has anti-BS radar on today." So I feel like catask is quite aware that, you know, against Jasugi, you just cannot give any opportunity to let him attack.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these moves like rook at g3 really solid.
Right.
Very experienced.
Shutting it down completely. Mm-hmm. Is this pawn to a6 time? Oh, queen to a6. That was
I thought, yeah, okay. I thought rook takes a7 was okay too.
Right.
This is fine. This is fine.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
That was nicely done.
So we're 10 games in. We're halfway today. 7-3 catask so far. Very convincing first 10 games. But also, I think, we maybe before the stream started, we had a few comments here among ourselves, and Catask has played through the candidates, so he's going to be match fit coming into this. So we last year, I think it was Jasugi, the challenger, against Opperwesen, and he came out winning the first 6 games or something, Jasugi. So I think that's one thing, being on the back foot as a defender. You're a bit out of step, and I think Jasugi's been quite busy with studies, so maybe hasn't played as much Crazyhouse recently.
The funny thing in the opening here, Yasugi stopped after knight c6 and thought, perhaps, whoops, this is the opening I got so bad position from, and then he suddenly switched to taking on d5.
Exactly.
Maybe he should avoid this. Doesn't seem very prepared.
They're mixing up openings a lot, the players, which is really good, actually.
Here I'm reckoning the big problem is the threat is to play bishop in hand to b3 and just get on that very nice diagonal with the tempo. So which probably explains why he moved his queen before it could be attacked. Kind of a surprise decision. He wants h3, of course. Yes. Yes. Well, take on g2, rook g1.
Just ignore and you play pawn at b5 maybe.
Sorry, where was pawn at b5?
Right now, or knight takes e5.
Aha.
I mean, rook g1, and then you just ignore things, and now you can play pawn at b5 or knight takes e5.
But pawn to b5, knight to h3, does that ever scare?
Yeah, it might be too slow. So,
but knight to takes e5, what you originally suggested, also looks like I have to go queen h3, for example. I'm trying to nibble on h2.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight takes e5, queen h3 looks very decent.
Is knight takes e5 another option for black?
It is, I think, because if bishop takes g4, then bishop takes g4.
Jan Lee, if he should sacrifice his queen.
Maybe pawn at d7 then.
Neil, you're taking bribes?
Well, there's 6 of us here, so there might be some other opinions.
Well, yes, just because there's only one answer doesn't mean it's a bad answer.
Right. If it's forced. Wow. Pawn to h6. Okay, that's thinking outside of the box. That was very creative.
So for the viewers here, let's explain this. It could actually be that white prefers to leave h2 defended because knight takes e5, queen h3 may actually benefit black. So that's why white's going for something direct elsewhere. So if g takes h6, then knight takes e5, queen h3, then pawn at g7 becomes an option.
Right.
But surely the question here is what happens on knight at h3. Yeah, and
precisely.
Okay, because now you have no queen h3.
No queen h3,
h3.
yeah, but these are the fine points. And see, knight takes e5 is fine. Knight takes e5, just bishop takes g4.
Pawn at d7. That was my point in the previous line as well. It might be even better now with the pawn on h6. But okay, he goes
pawn
here.
At d7.
Same idea. Pawn d7 is weak.
Pawn at d7, maybe king e7.
Oh wow. And then takes e5.
How is bishop takes d1, pawn takes g7 here? You have pawn at d7 if you want, but can you take on g7 if he takes the queen?
Maybe.
I think he's going to play d7 check, right? Bishop d1, d7 check.
Yeah, takes e6 check.
I think you have to take d1 here. Like knight takes g1, queen takes
but
g4.
King e6. I wonder if you can take g7. That's.
Well, he's asking the question.
Okay.
On d7. He likes your move, Jan. King e7.
Yeah, I've played the game once or twice before. Yes.
Nice. Any takers for king takes d1? No, there's knight b2 check. Sorry. I didn't want to.
So what's the threat here?
But I still don't see the problem of h takes d7.
H takes g7,
I don't think...
I agree.
But I preferred Zixon's suggestion the move before because then queen at f8, king d7, knight at c5 looked like a mating attack. Whereas if you'd play hg after the black king's gone to e7, it's different.
Yeah, but now maybe you have e6 and then take on g7. So maybe this is just really precise from Jasugi.
Well, he's covering f3 now too with the knight.
Yeah, that was the thing I really liked about this play. Covering f3.
Yeah, so pawn at d7 is enough to mate here. So black can't take g1 because the queen's going to f8.
Pawn to d7, king to
You can take the rook
d8.
even.
Yeah, no, G
Precisely.
takes h8. This is good for white.
Threatening mate.
Uh,
Knight
king
f3.
takes d1.
Ah,
Just
because
leave
you
the
wanna
knight on
keep
e5.
d7.
Keep d7
Keep it
defended. Yep. No, queen
protected,
takes
yeah.
g8. White's happy here.
Knight f6.
You see, it's important that Jasugi is not in mutual time trouble. He has a few seconds here every move.
Nice move.
Yeah, queen h4 brings the queen, the other queen,
Bishop,
into the attack.
yeah. Bishop takes g5. Even possible if you want. Or this bishop at g7.
Yeah, bishop g7, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, hanging in there. That
Gotta applaud
was a
that
beautiful
Very nice
game.
game.
That was a high level game. To
Yeah, it really was.
you know,
The whole h6 idea was just
well, not just that, the restraint not to automatically play knight takes e5 because of queen h3 and only playing it after there's a knight on h3. These are quite advanced ideas.
agreed. It was impressive.
And it looks like he spent the time, at the exact critical moment. Jasugi, I mean,
Yes,
to,
that
to
too.
work, he seemed to have worked out most of the ideas before he went into that.
I kind of like this for black already.
Yeah, the move bishop d5 was okay, but the move bishop b5 check just didn't feel like a very productive follow-up. You take on c6, you lose the bishop. Ooh,
I think at d5 is already a bit inaccurate, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because knight b4 attacks the pawn and you're in the defensive as white.
So if you defend the pawn, bishop c4.
Knight or pawn f4 is very
Pawn
annoying
f4.
then.
Got you. Yeah, okay. Then I have to give up the piece. Understood.
You might want to
Black
play king
is
d8
thinking.
here. You might want to play king d8 here.
And the reason is, Justin?
Well, I'm not a pawn grabber like you, yes. So you might want king takes d7, but
No, I don't. King takes. Wow, that's exposing myself to the elements. I was thinking queen d7.
oh yeah,
What's
then
your
knight e5.
response after bishop at c4? Yeah. Here.
Bishop at c4,
Now?
queen h5.
Okay.
We're about to see it.
Because queen h5, bishop takes f7, same trick. You have knight
Ouch,
e5.
ouch, ouch. Yeah, that's why I wanted the king on d8, but
It was you didn't see the trick, but it was
no,
something
it's
in the back of your head.
intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like don't put a piece on d7. That's because there's a
And
knight
it's
coming to
also
e5.
nice if you keep the queen on b5, you may have some at e2 tricks, right? So you don't want anything forcing. So king d8 seems unnatural, but it keeps initiative at your as black. You really want that. And now you're just looking for a move. About to lose a pawn.
Are. So
And even though you're a pawn up.
Let's say queen a5 just as a move, you're just going to take. Ooh, I was about to say you're just going to take the pawn on f7. He gave up his queen because.
Yeah,
what?
You'd play king d8 instead of this now.
That
I think it was
terrible.
bishop
The
takes
d5
f7
check.
was scary. Yeah, and now it's still scary. I think it's just lost already.
Yeah, now we're material down and we're getting mated. That wasn't the ID.
I think knight at c6 might be required here, and queen takes b7, rook b8. So at least when knight e5 check comes, you've got the knight on b4 defending the one on c6.
Mm-hmm.
But white's in the driving seat all the way here.
Totally.
So is there something decisive here?
I'm not seeing it. Not instantly. Maybe I put a pawn on a6 and just say, go ahead and make my day.
If that's your plan, I prefer to take on b8 and put the pawn on b7. And then when he
And that
defends
was the
c8, you put the
problem.
rook on a8, and it's
No, that was the problem. There was a queen e4 check because the
Ooh,
knight on
yes.
c6 is the
oh
knight on
nice.
c6. Right, the knight on c6. So if you put the pawn on b7,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
have queen.
All right.
Very,
Yeah.
very nice.
Well, you would have beaten Zixon if you were black, yes, sir. So,
Definitely from that position even.
Oh, oh. Well, just a second. Let me write that down and we'll get it certified. The check is in the mail. Uh-oh. That's a knight on b8 hanging. Right?
is maybe black okay here all of a sudden?
What?
We just.
How do we handle rook takes b8, Justin?
I mean, the e4 check, start with that.
Queen at e5
Ah.
check. Queen at e5 check.
Queen at e. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
you want to cover the c5 square somehow.
Got you. Right.
So I
So
like
he's,
this in
he's
between
stopping
move.
queen at e5 first.
He found bishop takes c2, knight at c5, pawn at b4, checkmate.
Nice.
If
Yeah,
you take
sharp,
the queen.
sharp.
That showed acute awareness of the situation.
But there's
Nice.
there's other options. So I think this is a very interesting position here. No.
Really? I
Wow,
think
1700
it's
strength with
terrible.
$40. Is that 264 Brock over there?
Thank you for the support. What do you reckon that Black has that he's in the game here, Justin? Because this looks terrible to my eyes.
I think he's not
got
dead
the
yet.
time.
That's like knight at b4 maybe,
Knight at b4.
because I want to stop b4
Stop
check.
the pawn landing on b4.
Yeah, knight at b4 is where I
Gotcha.
would start. Because knight at
Okay.
c5, then I can capture a5, and then c2 is on, which is a dangerous threat because a bishop takes e2 to follow. So it's a mix of not defense and offense.
Okay. I was about to say, could he take on e8 in that previous position? He took on b5 at once. Not my first instinct, but okay.
Okay,
So
thanks,
we can
train flipper. Sorry.
take on take on b5, take on b5, bishop e2, and more or less, Black can't move.
But is this not mate?
How
Like,
is
I'm looking at knight at
by
c5.
bishop, bishop
Yes,
at
it must be
b7,
mate.
knight at c6. Does this not mate?
Yes.
Takes
Yes.
queen
Oh, yeah.
a6, queen a3, queen c3. Do you live there actually?
King a4.
No. Knight at c6, knight takes c6.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Sorry. Yes.
No, you're not an idiot. But knight at c6, knight takes c6.
But here
I mean,
b3.
He's looking for a witness. Knight.
b3, king b4, knight a6.
I think knight at c3, knight d takes e2, just to stay safe.
No, but king before your c3, king c5, knight e4 is checkmate, right?
Yeah,
So
as
that
well.
forces
Yeah.
king a5,
I was thinking knight a6.
and then knight at
knight
c6 is mate. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
mate in one actually. Wow.
Wow. Okay, he found mate. Very nice.
Nice.
Very
B3
nice.
and C3.
Didn't
That's
see that
actually
coming.
rather unexpected because
Very
it's not the
unexpected.
first thing you're looking for. Wow. 8-4.
Yeah, I still wonder about that knight at b4 move back there, if it may have been different.
Right.
Wow, declines taking e4. That's interesting.
With the move F2, F3, that's surprising. I don't get that. You play F3 and then you go knight C3.
Catask ended up with a number of good positions, sacrificing that knight on e4 during the candidates. I think the bishop came out to b4, queen went to h4, and surprisingly, it doesn't turn out to be as bad as it looks for black. But
what's the old joke? It couldn't be. It couldn't be as bad as no, that's a. Do you have that in Swedish? the guy proudly shouts, "I'm not as dumb as I look." And the correct answer is, you couldn't be.
Never.
Is that in Swedish? Do you have that?
No.
I don't think so, unfortunately. Let's introduce it.
Okay. You can take out the patent.
We can introduce some Swedish expressions here in the match commentary.
Uh-huh.
There's
I
no
love in
cow
that-
on the ice. That's a
Come
common
again with that
Yeah,
one?
go again.
There's no cow on the ice.
There's no cow on the eyes, as in a cow that goes moo and the eyes that you see with.
No ice that that's frozen water.
Oh, ice frozen
Because
water.
a cow on the ice is not a very pleasant experience for the cow, yeah.
Yeah. But when you say that, what does that actually mean?
Right, exactly. Thank you.
You're
So-
safe.
Well, that means things are
Okay.
not as bad as they could be, right? Because if there's a cow on the ice, things are really bad.
Okay. Yeah,
Obviously.
we don't have enough ice in Australia to even put a kangaroo on. So
Well, we don't
Yeah.
get the joke.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm still still working it out there, Neil. I'm not sure. Like how?
no, it makes sense.
Mm.
What would be our equivalent, Neil, to just distract from the position for a moment? There's no cow on the ice. What, there's beer in the fridge? Like, what would we
There's
say?
no beer in the fridge. That would be a disaster.
Well, I remember JJ, the Norwegian organizer for the Norway chess tournament. We were at a dinner where the host was pouring the wine, and JJ got the end of the bottle, and he looked at it and he shouted at the organizer, "It's empty!" like this is like the worst thing that ever happened in life. Like do something. It's an empty bottle.
And it looks like Jasugi's fridge is empty right now.
It's empty. Bishop f3, king g1, queen g5 check. No.
Who do you like here? I would play white, actually.
You
You
would?
would play white. Woof.
I love that
You're a
game.
braver man than me.
So
Queen
you
G5.
So
Queen G5 take on F4?
Yeah, maybe knight takes d4 in between.
you need the extra pawn.
Yeah, but Queen
In some
G5,
lines,
pawn at G2, is it so easy?
It's not.
Yeah, exactly, because pawn at G2 was the answer, so they had to take the rook. I think Queen G5 was a mistake, actually. I'm with Justin on this one. I mean, it's difficult to play white, but I think white's position is fine here.
Yeah,
I'm usually on the black side of these positions, so I should advocate black's play here.
Yeah, Clearcast would definitely take black. But we have a lot of matches that look like this, Clearcast. It's,
Yeah.
You've got
This
everything on the
line-
board and I've got nothing.
With early F3, I've played that a lot as black against this, and I usually am worse, but I find a way somehow. You have to be precise with white.
Yeah, you do. No,
The
I
king
guess
just feels so naked to my eyes. White's king feels like
yeah, it's naked, but black doesn't have many eyes to look at the white king. So
Don't go all Swedish on me now. Whoa, he is going to put it. I was thinking he was putting a knight on e2 or something there for a moment. Knight to g6.
And I guess to explain to the viewers why I actually like white here, I feel white has what I would call a residual advantage, meaning if white can survive the storm, white has all the pieces in hand and all the options to play for when the storm comes down. And the storm is calming down here for white, and
Definitely.
catask is lower on time. So while, before probably 10 moves back, you're like, but the king's so open and bare, long term, I think white has the strategic advantage.
Well, your intuition sure is proven itself in this particular case, because it does look like white is taking over and black has exhausted himself. Knight e3, however, wasn't the right follow-up, right? Unless he wants knight f5. No, he's doing something different.
It's all about the knight takes d5 tricks, I think, at the right moment.
I mean, black is not doing that badly on material. It's more that white has pieces in hand.
Correct.
His king
Yeah.
is so safe, and if he keeps it that way, I agree that he should have a long-term advantage.
So knight at b5, possibly here. You just chisel away.
Chip, 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 chip. Ooh.
Yeah, that's just a pawn.
Counter strike? No. Oh, that's important. That bishop on h3 was, in my view, a huge defender. Getting rid of it is
I would have taken with the knight first. This allows bishop at h3 or h3. Because with the bishop on g4, you had the light squares covered nicely. So you could allow bishop takes g2.
Queen takes e4, take the bishop, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
like this one.
Rook f2.
Oh, rook f2. Didn't see it. I did not see rook f2. I mean, first impressions there was that black was suddenly making a comeback now.
And
Bishop
block
to
with bishop
G1.
is important, I think.
Yeah, block with
Yes.
bishop.
Otherwise, queen takes c7 was winning.
Ooh, look at this gentleman. Queen c7.
Queen g2 was safe as well. Now,
Okay, we're
scary.
putting a pawn on g4.
Yeah, pawn on g5 or g4.
Yeah.
It's going to take quite a while, but
Queen to g2 hits the rook. Yeah. Maybe take on g1.
I think.
Sorry, Justin. It's going to take quite a while to.
Yeah, it'll take quite a while, but I think it's time to manage here. I'm not sure about bishop at h5 though. I was just
That
thinking
was a
knight
strange
b5.
one.
I was actually just thinking knight b5. Hang
And
back.
go back and then, yeah.
Okay, he secures the king.
Second-guessed himself.
That's-
Yeah.
He's okay here.
He's
This is white's game to lose.
well. He's making an effort.
There's no pawn to capture though.
Rook takes g4, knight
Rook
takes g4.
Queen takes
You're
g.
safe.
Ah no, you can't play queen takes g4. You might have knight at h6 if rook takes g4.
So we take the rook and we're threatening mate. So
Oh
Whoa.
no. This is no.
that was not the way I expected.
This is catask, so tough. 50 moves, you still have to win after 50 moves.
It's also Jasugi. You still have to win after 50 moves.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Ooh. That was a nasty move. Knight e2
But
check.
black's
suddenly.
okay now. Black's okay.
Winning. Just feels like it's winning. Take on f4 and you're threatening pawn to e2. Suddenly, no time.
Tough.
Perhaps Jasugi thought he was
Oh.
attacking after bishop at h5, but he didn't have anything.
No, but
It
bishop
was
h5
much more
was
important to defend first.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
knight-
knight b5, just holding on to the material. Just
right in the spirit of what he was doing previously.
and
holding onto
that's
the material.
that's what I meant by this will be a long game for white in the sense that white doesn't have anything on the offensive yet, and sometimes even though you're up 2 boards of pieces, you've got to be really patient. That's tough. That's really tough. He was defending
Wow.
so well, Jasugi, and
That
Yeah.
bishop h5 move was probably where the tables turned.
Exactly.
They should have put it on g2 instead.
That's my feeling as well.
I'll acknowledge a few donations. Afuru Zamurai, $20.22. We also had Brothfish earlier, $11.27. All the donations go towards the Crazyhouse World Championship Fund for next year. So thanks for all your support. Okay, white's going to have a lot of isolated pawns that are doubled in a second.
The old double isolated pawn attack. I remember it well. Knight d4.
It's like
Are we
Space
sacking on
Space
F?
Invaders.
Yeah. But white, of course, wants to play rook g1. But are we sacking on f7, gentlemen? Or is that... I mean, after knight takes d4, why is he hesitating over knight d4?
Yeah, how about bishop g6 here? A lot of pawns hanging after white moves his bishop.
Okay.
d4 hanging, f4, h3.
Details. The little details.
Yeah, black gets a little more advantage with bishop at g6. This is very nice from Jasugi. Knight takes d4 now, seems logical. And then you're threatening, or maybe you're going for f5 possibly if you really want the h3 pawn.
But do you feel that he played bishop g6 because he was afraid of bishop f7, or just simply he gained a tempo with bishop g6, so it was a good move?
Yeah, I think you gain a tempo, and why expose f7 when you don't have to?
Okay.
That was an excellent move.
Yeah, I think those moves like bishop at g6 are the subtle moves at the top end that separate the good from the great players. It doesn't seem like much, but you know, it's down the track. It'll be clear if bishop takes f7 was on, that the position will be very different.
I like this move as well, knight to e7, because I was thinking that if I was in white shoes, I would like to play the move bishop to e5. So I thought this move knight to e7 was a good way of stopping that.
Cash, big donation, $42. Support in here is great today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And community's coming alive for us. That's very nice. Thank you, Juan, and thank you all. Knight h4. Wow. He really wants knight g2. Huh? He really does. What's he getting?
Was it
for
an
all
ooh
this,
because you're
guys?
impressed or surprised?
Ooh, because I wasn't thinking, like there's so many queen sacks I've declined today that the players have accepted.
I'm confused. I didn't get this at all. I was like, what?
I felt like
my.
Jasugi sacked his queen a few times today, not because he thought it was a good move, just to bail out of trouble. But he's still getting punished anyway, because it's happened a few times when catask has had a very strong attack in any case.
But he wasn't in trouble here. That's why I was puzzled.
No, not this game.
Yeah. And I'm looking at queen e7 mate, of course, and you can't take because something will land on d7 with check.
So bishop
the
at
knight
d6.
on g2 is terrible, right?
Knight at f6 is going to mate you. Then, so you have to put a bishop on e7. Then you drop c7. This is coming undone pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jasugi normally wouldn't rush into an idea like knight takes g2.
I think he missed knight takes d5.
Experienced bughouse player.
This looks really good. Bishop to g8, knight in hand to e7 and queen b7, and white's got the attack. Material. My spidey sense is tingling here, guys. Discover check. Very nice. And a rook will go to d7 and a pawn will go to e4. Oh.
Yeah, I would have put a rook on d7 as well. I agree with. But there's no rush. There's black has no attack with the knight on g2.
Exactly.
Yeah, because white here, you nearly question why aren't you resigning yet?
And he wants to show us a spectacular mate. King on f4.
But fair enough, I had a resignable game against catask in my first game against him, and somehow that went in my favor, so I shouldn't really speak that way. Okay, will he take e4 this time? No.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I'm not too convinced for that as black.
Me either. You play f3 and then you don't take the knights.
Unless, as catask, you're thinking, if he wants to avoid it that bad, I'm going to make him take my knight.
Right.
Yeah, match strategy wise, it's a good thing because this position is already okay for black, I think.
But after, for example, a move like knight g3 now, trying to use the extra piece, you think that
Yeah, then queen h4 is the move to knight at
Yeah.
g3.
Even queen h4 now in some lines is fine, but bishop b4 first, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
This line is surprisingly difficult for white to find easy development in. You would think
Okay.
you're just a piece up and
Right.
it should be fine, but yeah.
I think that, yeah. But it's not the case.
Well, this is why Jasugi's probably put the knight on f2 and not g3, because he's got to get that g1 knight out. Sometimes when you put it to e2, then pawn at f3 becomes an issue, or pawn at d3 becomes an issue, or it just gets in the way of the bishop. So
yeah, it's funny because it's like the reverse of that game we had maybe 8 games ago where black sacked a piece and then he had this pawn on d4, which hindered white's development, but this time it's the other way with the pawn on e4, but the same idea.
Yeah, a lot of concepts that challenge traditional chess thinking, on move 3 or 4.
Very much so, yeah. Pawn to a3. Okay.
So rook b1. How do we or is it queen d2? We have to do something on the dark squares here.
Or is it
Just
castles?
wants to get out of
Let's
there.
get out of the dodge. Yeah, let's get out of here. Lickety split, and knight takes e4.
Wow, pawn at f3 here. Okay.
Yeah, I like the approach. Not interested in the free piece.
Well, but geez, guys, I mean, wow.
The idea is to get queen h4 at the right moment still.
Confused.
Yeah, I'm trying to just even assess the position here.
Right?
I think at d4, yeah, that's a good move. Take the bishop on f5.
Yeah, I agree with
the
that.
attack going, yeah.
Well, no, it's actually defensive. You've got to look after your light squares ASAP. And
if knight h4, you can take on c3 because there's no knight e2 trigger.
That's exactly right. But not this way. So
yeah, here you can just play pawn e4
pawn e4 again, or bishop e4.
I like the bishop e4 just to control the diagonal just a bit. Ooh.
So fe.
Fe. Holy smokes.
Now you take c6, bishop at f7.
And start.
Yeah, Jasugi's in driving seat this game.
I think he missed bishop at f7. Catask. I'm not. I don't believe he saw that this was defending king b6. I don't believe that.
Okay, so he's running to a6.
Yeah.
But then he'll run into the arms of a4, right? Yeah, I like it. a4 coming
Yeah, and
out.
even maybe queen c5, queen c6. I mean,
yes,
in some lines, but
yes,
a4 should be good.
I'm feeling it too.
So a4, b takes, and then rook takes, king takes, queen b3 doesn't quite finish the job, does it? So white's still got a bit of work. Maybe a3 even, but king a6 is still safe. This is
definitely what I was definitely going with a4 on that one, Justin. I couldn't believe that black would be surviving.
King h1 here looks normal.
Yes.
I'll just acknowledge another
Time is
donation. Blunderman1, $6.28. Thank you again. So he's defended. He's kept the squares available, both dark and light, around his king.
right,
Oh, giving up the queen.
but he's getting 2 minors.
Do we
and
agree
he's
with
got-
that?
I think so. I do. I think that the sacrifice was.
I think
Justified.
knight b3 a4 is very strong threat. So you have to.
He's trying to set up bishop at d2 and a3, I think.
Well, right now.
Oh, but then
we're
queen
worried about
h1,
queen
a1.
h1.
Yeah, queen
that's
takes a1.
So he's
It's
covered
a nice
at
defensive
knight.
move.
Sharp game,
Yes.
sharp game. This is a good one.
Crazy game.
Queen at f1, the threat now.
Big time threat. Big.
That's
big
dangerous.
Knight takes.
And then
What?
knight takes, and then knight at b3.
King
Knight
King
at
a4.
b4.
knight b2, king a3.
And he's got a discovery with.
And the rook is hanging.
Do we believe it? Well, there's no choice. Oh, there is a choice.
This doesn't
Again,
work.
queen f1.
Knight
is
b2 is
big
the only
threat.
check. King a3. Yeah, that's
That
it.
was a
There's
good
no more
move.
checks. Oh my goodness.
The king got all the way up to a3. I'm sure he missed a4 earlier. He had to play a4. It's remarkable he made some defensive move on the king side and not playing a4.
I was also of the view he didn't have to give his queen up, because then black had no attack on the king.
Right.
But in time trouble, it's easy for us to call on the side. It's
Keep it
11
saucy, everybody.
11 to 4. This is a big lead from catask. Because you've got
Yeah,
six.
and I like it.
Minded.
I like Katas going back to this position. Yeah, okay, at e4. Or I think theoretically knight at e3 is not. I think knight at c3 is a little bit better, but you have to find knight at pawn at e4. That's a good move. And now knight at f4, and I think black is doing very well.
You don't take the knight, but you play knight f4.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Where's the knight gonna go? You can take it next to him, and now you can take the bishop first.
Yeah.
This is very good for black, but it's fine. It's nice that Jasugi found this.
I'm sure you and I have played this position, Clearcast, where I've had white and you've had black. And I just feel I just feel like, what did I do to the opening here?
I'm white and I'm worse after 8 moves.
Oh, not worse, but black's got a free-flowing game here.
Well, if I'm not worse, then what would you recommend for white at this moment then?
Yeah, someone in chat is saying knight g1 required. Well, maybe. I'd be happy if I were black.
Yeah, maybe knight g1 is actually really a good move. And
can you just go wild here? d5. If you take on f3, I take on c6, and I'm threatening pawn at d7. And what's your option to taking f3? If you move your knight, maybe pawn at e6 even, or then you have knight d4.
Knight takes
if
e2,
you play
right?
like knight b4.
Yeah, knight takes e2 is the move. I agree. BC.
Or
Okay.
this is some forced mate. Okay.
Is this mate takes?
I don't think so.
It's not mate. I don't think he's going.
I
for
think
mate.
he's just getting the queen, which is
Yeah,
decent
okay.
for white. This
Yeah.
is decent for white.
Oh, that was very, very clever. Holy smokes. Bishop g4. Nice.
But yeah, Zixon, I agree. If it wasn't d5, you're just on the back foot. So you've got to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is what impresses me maybe the most of these guys. That I mean, I can see the idea. Maybe I should play this, but they have the confidence to actually do it. I would probably play something more passive here.
He executed it rather quickly too.
Yeah, exactly. They see it fast, and they're not afraid of going for these committal decisions. I think it's quite impressive.
Wow. Well, here knight e5 is being as an invitation, no?
You could start with queen at b7, perhaps. With the idea of c6
Same
taking
idea.
after the check on c5 or e5.
Okay, but just help me out for a quick second. So what am I missing? If we start with knight e5, you go king c8.
Which
Yeah.
knight are you using? Yes.
The knight on f3, I beg
Right.
your pardon.
Yep.
Knight on f3.
So probably king e8.
Yeah, and I go queen e8 check.
What?
King e8.
King e8.
Oh, you went king e8. I beg your pardon. Sorry, I heard king c8. Excuse me, king e8. Okay, gotcha. And now I begin to understand the desirable move, queen d7 there, Neil. You might want to start with that.
Yeah, catask, big think here.
That is a very big thing. He chose the other knight.
The knight on f3 is actually covering the d4 square, because if black's going to commence an attack, it will start with knight d4 to just free up the e2 square. So that's a reason why I was asking which knight, because it may actually be important for this reason.
Exactly. Okay, isn't it time for queen b7? Oh, queen c4.
Well, he's hoping for bishop
Hitting
at b5,
F7?
and then he's going to sack.
Hitting f7?
You might not have to hope. What else can you do? I think bishop at d5 is required.
Well, you gotta go pawn to d2.
Queen at b8 here.
Yes, precisely. It's one of those things. Queen to b8, bishop takes d5.
Yeah, then knight takes c1. Knight, oh no, sorry, bishop f7 is on. Bishop
there's a
f7 is
mate.
on. So it's e6,
Yeah,
sorry. E6.
Yes.
But as soon as I can, I want to play knight takes c1.
You can answer with knight at c3 here, because you still got the mate.
Yeah, knight at
Knight at
c3.
c3.
He's got it. And now we can put a rook on b7 or rook on a8 or pawn on b7. Sorry, pawn to b7. He did it that way. I think pawn to b7 might have been a killer there, actually.
Oh, okay. Good move there. Knight takes
That was
c3.
a great move. Knight takes
Queen
c3.
d7 of queen c8. I mean, threatening queen takes d7.
The rook at
Was maybe
d8.
on.
Rook at d8 looked enough.
He was going to give up the sack.
I was going to play bishop g5, and then knight at b7, pick up the queen somehow,
right? Exactly, clear class.
and avoid queen at e2 mate in the process. I wasn't.
That's nice,
I wasn't there
actually.
yet.
That's very nice. No, I think
I still like white here, because I don't see how black is getting in.
With 7 seconds. Oof.
yeah, but I think I liked. Yeah, queen at c8. So there was still the queen at e2 mate threat, wasn't there?
Yeah, you had to do some more trading, I think.
So
here queen takes c3, queen takes c2.
Queen at d2 instead. Yeah, queen at d2.
Yeah.
Can
nice
you play
one.
knight at d3?
No.
Or bishop b4.
Rook to e2, bishop to b4. I like bishop to b. Whoa.
Yeah, bishop b4. What's
was
he spotted something.
That was amazing.
He missed king b1.
No, maybe bishop c2.
King f1 was okay. The bishop covers g2. Bishop on a8.
What? No, then he missed something, because you don't go for this. No, I think he missed.
Oh, you got safe.
Yeah, totally.
I like clear castle bishop b4 instead of he takes f3.
Oh, big time. I love that. Absolutely. Loved it. Rook e2. Let's go. Ooh.
No. You got to cover queen takes c7. Yeah.
And he did. Rook takes e2.
Rook takes e2 now. Rook takes e2. King e2. And the number of games that have gone down to under 10 seconds for both players. But no, black's very safe with a castle here.
Time. Ooh.
What?
e7.
What?
Was castle legal? Not
Or
sure.
maybe castle.
Maybe it wasn't.
I don't think the
Oh, what's going on? The tables are turning again.
Looks
Look
at
at
knight
this,
c3
guys.
check. Knight c3.
Knight
Oh,
c3.
no, black's okay
The
now.
tables have turned completely. Look at black's king.
Both players are okay here. This could still be a long game. Queen at f6.
Oh, knight c8 check is on tap.
And a
knight c8
knight at
check.
d5 would have been bad.
Oh, the tables have turned again. Now it's white who has the initiative. Oh,
Bishop g2.
Oh, bishop
Maybe
g2.
even that wasn't enough.
Yeah, he's got
Maybe
the
bishop
two
to
bishops.
g5 there.
White
was...
bishop covers on e2.
Yeah, king e5 and queen c7 is the problem.
Yeah, black
Queen
doesn't
at
have enough
b1,
threats.
take
remarkable
e4,
decision.
take e4.
Surely white's still better.
On the d5 check is in the position.
Yeah, but black king can just back off to e8 now. This is this is
so
exactly.
fast.
Pawn at d3 coming at d3.
wow.
Bishop c3
pawn.
check. Oh,
Oh, king e8, queen takes e7 was checkmate.
Queen takes.
That's why he,
Where? Queen takes d8 was, you mean?
yeah, if you went to e8 with the king.
All right, that's
Yeah,
mate.
it
F4
was
and bishop
mate.
that's
e3.
mate.
Oh, or g4 if he
G4.
goes there. Oh, mate in
Oh,
one.
no.
That's
g4 made
interesting.
him one.
But
Yeah,
he can
here
go
it
back
is.
to it. There we go.
No three
Yeah.
time repetition, gentlemen.
Candidate for best game of the match so far.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Ooh. That had some big swings from both sides. I think both sides will feel like I missed something.
But you see what's great about this match today is the game's not decided in the opening. It's decided at like move 50 when both players have less than 5 seconds left. They're both having to
Yeah.
fight so hard
Right.
to get a result each game.
White continues with the strange move. To my eyes, it's a strange move, knight h3. I'm thinking I would play bishop b5 check or knight e2 with the idea of knight g3, but I'm confused by this knight coming to h3.
Yeah, I think that knight on g1 could be one of White's biggest problems to develop. And so maybe Jasugi's trying to develop it first before doing anything else. Maybe bishop e2 here. Like
And
if
also the one of the biggest ideas for black is to play queen h4, and with the knight on h3 you can play bishop g5, trapping the queen.
okay, nice.
So the idea is to just discourage queen h4 and almost every
Yeah.
position or something.
As black, you want to play queen h4 and then pawn at g3 and then try to get in on the pawns. But now that's not possible. Or you have to sacrifice material to get to your goal.
Very nice point, Clickers. Thanks for that one.
I've been in this situation a couple of times.
Up against the wall.
Yeah, so I just play queen h4 immediately before everything.
Right.
I'm surprised
Beat 'em
that
to the
the
punch.
catask castle there, it provides white with a target. So if white cancels and black is cancelled,
Yeah, I think against Opperwesen played this as White a few times, and I remember a game where Catask castled and things crumbled not long after,
Yeah.
because the king is actually safer on e8 than it is on g8.
I was thinking black wants to play a move like pawn at d3 and then queen takes d4 and then clear up e5 as well. But after castles, it doesn't look so good because of pawn at h6.
Yep, that also looks better with the king on e8.
This,
Ooh, 93. That's the point.
93. That's a big introduction.
But that's a very resourceful find from Catask. Could White have
Definitely.
played bishop takes f3 instead of g takes f3?
Maybe he should have. This does not look appetizing.
Or it was king d2 wasn't playable because of e3 check. So this is a very nice find. Black should be fine here. It's got the piece back.
E3 maybe.
Exactly.
E3. Then knight takes H3.
Wow.
Knight takes H3 though.
Oh yeah, it's hanging. My bad. Yeah.
I was going to compliment you on a very creative move.
White's
it
pieces are
was.
kind of discombobulated at the end, though, aren't they?
It was
Yes.
creative, but
It was
incredibly
very
creative. Yeah, incredibly bad. Like, on a scale of 10, I mean, it's like, damn. What's this guy's? Bishop F3? Was this the right follow-up?
He's probably contemplating knight takes H3 versus bishop takes F3 here. I think this is right. You get B7 to capture.
Exactly. And
But
E3
now
to capture.
F3 hangs. So
No, but
take
we take on
B7.
E3.
Take B7.
Queen G5 check. Okay.
Oh yeah, what's queen takes E3? Why can't we do that?
Queen G5. Yeah.
Bishop or pawn. Bishop at G2. You have to use a bishop so that when you capture F3, it defends G2 again.
Clever.
So
Clever.
bishop at G2 looks like the move. But then maybe still
Yeah, but
bishop takes
just knight
G2.
takes F3 and bishop takes G2, isn't it?
But then bishop takes G5. But I think that's winning for white.
Yeah,
Possibly.
but you don't have a knight, another knight, so you're not threatening mate. So and this is safer for black,
Okay.
but not so clearly winning. Maybe you could
But
just
then-
try taking the knight now.
He
But
did.
then if you went knight takes F3 before and queen takes F3, then there's two knights in white's hand. I
Oh,
thought.
you do have two knights. Okay, yeah.
And that would have meant knight to H6, yeah?
Yeah.
King F1 maybe.
Is knight takes H3 poisoned?
Is king.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
F1 feels a
queen
bit safer to me.
Yeah, Queen G4 seems very strong with Bishop at E4 next if you blockade.
Maybe
Right.
knight at
Knight
E4.
takes H3, queen at G4, king F2 was certainly interesting, but
This
Ooh, was this a pre-move? Bishop D2 and he got caught in a pre-move?
No, he wants this, yeah.
he wants
He wants
a
a knight
knight,
in hand.
but I don't think it's enough for black somehow. So say a knight at
What's the
E4,
defense?
and then black
Bishop
gets a knight in
E2.
hand, but where does it go? So knight at E4, bishop takes D2, knight takes D2, knight at G2, king D1, knight E3, king C1. The white king is running in that case.
Right. So bishop knight E4, bishop D2, knight D2, another bishop to E3. Does it help that? Yeah, he's done it. Does it help black that so he takes on D2 and there's a queen E3 check now suddenly. That wasn't there before.
I still think the path out to C1 is clear for white.
Yeah,
So-
but black also has a free move now. He's not made it or anytime soon.
Right.
Even a move like knight C6, for example.
Well, do you want to take the rook in that case, Clearcast? You want to take on
Yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
I was thinking knight at
knight
F2,
F2
just
check
take
and
H1.
take the rook? Could be useful. Rook in hand, I mean. Whoa.
Knight
Okay,
takes
that was
C2.
provocative.
Knight takes C2 looks like an option.
Very
but
good move. Very good move.
Yeah, knight at a4 and then knight E3 back is a threat.
Exactly.
It's still a very live game, this one.
With 13 seconds, you bet it is, boy.
Yeah, I like this move. White has to try to make inroads on the king, take some risk with defense. King
Not
takes
so sure I
C2.
like queen E3 check. That scene, I love the queen on G5 as a protection measure. Maybe I would have just taken the rook after bishop to E4. But what do we have now?
bishop at H6 is what you want to do now. Okay, knight takes this. Bishop I thought was
On tap.
Yeah, so you
So we take
I
that?
think
Because this
that's
he can take with the
very
pawn. If you put the bishop there instead, he can't
You could
take
go
with the
bishop
pawn.
at
So
d3 check and then queen takes h6 to cover e4.
yeah, sure. But then you're not mated anymore. So
Hmm.
you get it.
without knight at h6, this looked like a defensive chance.
What is this?
It's
This
tough.
is a
It's
rook
tough
on,
though.
on h1. No, he didn't do it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, it's a shame. Wow,
Well, he was
catask.
it.
So
King,
strong.
king takes d2, knight
At
c4 check,
c4.
and that was it, right?
Yeah, but
Because
king b2
h1
was
is
maybe
hacked
on
in. Right.
as defense, but okay. Too little time.
But in the
Task is in fine form.
yeah,
Wow.
in the history of the Crazyhouse World Championship finals, we've never seen a 13-4 lead in the first leg. Generally, it's been 11-9,
That's
12-8.
huge.
This is
Yeah.
a really big margin.
Massive score. Wow. Yeah. And I just saw the pins. It was like 6 in a row. It's
Yeah.
like I just had to double check that. Like, am I seeing that right? Yeah, but it's just wow.
Incredible strength we're witnessing here. Even when things go wrong for catask, it's just some sheer tenacity in difficult positions with low time. That's where the games are getting
Right.
decided.
I'm trying to imagine a 3-series match with catask after the first part of the series. I feel like I'd have to learn the game all over again.
Ooh, that is a very nice move. I was thinking he was going to play knight f4, but knight d5. That's very visual. Defend c7. Keep defending c7.
You take g2 now. If you take on c7, king e8, take the queen. You don't threaten mate because queen takes f7 is not a threat.
And then you take h1 and
But
promote.
you can just take back on g2. I suppose it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Exactly, and you threaten bishop takes c6 then in a lot of lines.
Yeah, you activate the bishop for him. That's not.
Yeah, the rook on a1 is already actively covering the d1 queen. So I think you had the right point there. Okay, so hang on here. White sacked on c7, and
He could have also just on that last turn. He could have queen g3 check and win the bishop on g7, but he went for this.
I think black is okay here.
That's too chessy for these guys. Yeah, sir.
Hey,
Double
look,
attacks. What's that about? I think it was a very strong idea.
Yeah. This one also looks very strong. You've got that mate threat on d8 now as well.
Maybe queen e6 works.
In this moment?
Queen e6,
Yeah,
pawn at
sure.
e4. Queen at e6, pawn at e4. Because you have to defend the knight.
See, that's funny. Like queen on e6. So you have three types of players. One player would put the pawn on e3 to defend d4. Another player would put the pawn on e4 to defend the knight.
Play
The
king
third
f1.
player would put the pawn on e5.
I defend the knight with king f1.
Yeah, and then the fourth player is moving his king. So
right.
king d1 is
Neil.
also good. I agree with Niels.
But the point was you make him waste a pawn on e4.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
So king f1 was probably the best.
f1 or d1, maybe d1. Eesh.
It's still scary, guys.
You have to play. Can you play CD here?
Or queen takes c7.
Or queen d6 if you want to try to hold on.
Queen
thought-
d6, I think he
I-
wants knight c6, or what else
Yeah.
do you want?
The trouble is CD, knight takes d7, bishop takes d7, maybe queen at b8. I guess you can
Right.
capture that and play bishop at d8. No, queen is knight takes c6 here, or is knight c4?
No, but I
Whoa.
think
He really wanted that queen.
Oh no, that's just smart. He's got white to retreat the knight to c4 before sacking the
Oh.
queen on c7.
We take
That
on
was a
a5. Is
huge-
it possible? I guess he takes
C
d5.
takes d5, then yeah.
Queen at c6. You just take and then defend d8.
You should probably cash in and just take the queen here.
Right.
I mean, black's alive, but white's not bad.
Neil, your move knight takes a5 in this position reminds me of a comment Robert Hubner made about Vladimir Velimirovich. Too much talent.
Not a good move.
Not a good move. Too much talent. Ooh. Okay, is he preparing to sack on e7, the house?
I don't think that works.
Yeah, 95 first, maybe.
Knight g2 check.
So,
Yeah. How to defend?
pawn at b7?
So
You just-
pawn to b7 or pawn to d7. What's the kill?
What? But that just
Giving up
loses
the
the
rook.
There
rook.
goes the rook.
There's no trap on the queen there. You just take a7. Yeah, it's tough here.
Yeah,
It's
that didn't feel right though.
There's a psychological battle going on here too. So
Right. It's like a reluctance to give the other player an initiative or something.
this is okay. I thought queen takes a7.
Well, I didn't
But
understand.
why didn't he
I
take
guess
on
so.
a7?
Yeah, black
I
is
didn't
up
understand.
material, sort of.
Could you
Like-
play a
like
rook at
what?
a8 check and you're threatening queen at c8 if bishop takes?
Yeah, that could be a nice point. You
He
might have
wants
had
to
like
go pawn
one
to-
opportunity to play that.
Maybe pawn to d7.
So if you might have had to play queen at d8 against rook at a8.
What?
Knight at
to
c5 he wants.
Mm.
Or thank you, Clearcast. Oh,
Can you just back off though?
knight at c5 as advertised.
Just
Okay.
takes material.
No, but Jasugi's alive here. Black was well and truly out of it. This is now
Yeah,
a
those
fight.
bishops are mostly defending everything.
But this was a very important move, that queen e7, because he does have rook to e8 now. That ooh, queen takes and queen c8 check, guys. Yeah, I think that's. Oh, rook takes d8.
You can take.
Threatening
Oh, there's
knight
knight at
c7.
c7.
Oh, and look at the king on d1.
Yeah, it's
That's
so safe.
amazing. Oh,
The king was
That's
safe.
7 in a row.
that king
Yeah.
on d1 at the end. It was picturesque. Adoption, says Snapple.
Here's the thing, like Jasugi was actually coming back there, and it's like even though he had a bit of momentum, it's like catask still holds strong and
Right.
re-wins the game effectively. So many times there you'll see Jasugi pull out a fantastic swindle against many opponents, and it's like catask has another gear, even when
Wow.
letting the cat slip out of the bag.
Wow, very impressive performance tonight, I must say. And Justin, tell us about the upcoming schedule.
Yeah,
this
so
match?
we've got 20 games today, and then we've got 20 games in another 2 days, starting at the same time.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yep. So for most of you, that's going to be 19th December for the next leg, and then we'll have another one 21st December. The details are in the forum. We can put a post up for you. I'll do that just now. So unless you're in Australia, it's probably 19th when we'll see you again.
Oh, let me see this castling move again.
Yeah, we had
Wow.
a chance to play Queen H4 after Knight C3, but he didn't do it. Too bad.
I would have switched back to D4 if I was Jasugi. He actually started the match with D4.
Very well, actually.
But
I
sometimes
liked it.
sometimes you don't have that presence of mind when you're
In the
just
thick of things, yeah.
you're just trying to win the next game. So
How about bishop at h6 there? Or
Yeah, nice one. Even if it's not sound, this is the way to go against catask.
This is the resistance. Yeah, I like this move too. Beautiful move, in fact.
Those positions where catask can make moves and you can make moves and it's not winning immediately, you always lose. At least that's in my experience. And maybe if you're Sugi or Jan Lee, you win a couple, but in general you're gonna lose. So you have to be sharp, mix it up.
Clearcast, I didn't feel it was fair. You lost 10-0 to catask because you had some
I had some very good positions.
Brilliant attacking positions. Because I think I was maybe watching in chat on the Real Gnesis stream, maybe live, but I just felt you put him under so much pressure, and I was so surprised that there's probably a few mates in there, but it's like you're down on time then to get to that brilliant position. So
yeah, and then he's so tenacious, and then you're 5-0 down, and the sixth game is another good position. It's like the same as Jasugi is losing 7 games in a row now. It could have been 5-2 his way.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Some huge swings.
Yeah, but it's just you have to finish the games, and if you don't, the momentum is not in your way, and it starts to you start to think about it, and you lose another, and before you know, you're down 10 games, as is the case right now.
Yeah,
I start to think even if I'm playing well, I still can't win a game.
But here, guys, isn't Black just in
Black is just
really, really
crushed.
bad shape?
We see catask in a very rare situation where he's forced to defend what looks like an impossible position, but we'll see if he can find something.
Well, no, but I think Clearcast said something very correct here. Even if bishop at f6 is not the right move, this is exactly the way to get the catask. This is how I managed to win a number of games against him, and had chances for a lot more in the candidates. I lost 7-3, and I had forced mate in 2 of the games I lost. And this is exactly how you do it. You play speculative, and you make him think. Sometimes he uses too much time, and you know, don't let him put his pieces up and then slowly advance against you.
Because when he's in a good position, when he's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let him play.
When he's comfortable, he can move quickly. But when he's defending, he has to find accurate moves every single move, and that's when he spends a long time.
Yeah. This move I found very surprising. F3. I didn't see how that could possibly be helping Black's cause.
And conversely, I feel like Jasugi is very comfortable in this position with white. Clear target.
Exactly.
He's got lots of activity. So you play pawn at g7 here, make the knight go to g7, and then
pawn
take on
e7
c4.
might be, yeah.
Pawn at e7, yeah, strong.
Yeah.
All right.
The queen was just trapped there. Yeah.
He breaks the drought.
Yeah, that was a disaster. Neil, if he had pulled that one out, I mean, it was like, wow. It was as if really impressive. I mean, geez.
Uh-oh. Not this line. Clickcast and I familiar with this one.
Yeah.
Oh, BC.
Both.
Okay. What's the move
The
usually?
main move is Queen F3
Queen
check
F3
and then DC3.
and DC. Yeah.
We could now we understand why Queen F3 check a moment earlier was better.
Yeah, you want to open your bishop to go to
Precisely.
G5.
And the rook can come to D1 in a nice way too. But okay, he's got ideas of.
I don't know about this move at E6 maybe.
For a moment there, I thought he was going to put a pawn on F5, but D4 certainly feels better.
I would smile at pawn at E6
King G8.
and play king takes E6 and say, "Come get me."
Right.
Yeah, I know.
See, Justin, we can turn you into a pawn grubber. I mean, there's hope.
Well, I'm faced with being mated or grabbing a pawn. I'll take the pawn.
Right. Wise.
It's a big difference between Crazyhouse and Bughouse. In Bughouse, you could play a funny move like knight at G5, cut off the king, and just laugh. As Crazyhouse, you don't have enough pieces.
Mm. I was about to say, speaking of knight to G5, I think that might have been, or now it would be my move. I would love to sacrifice a knight for 2 pawns on F7. And Jasugi says, "You got nothing. You're bluffing. You're bluffing."
Yeah, I think
Bishop D3 check.
Jasugi's probably comfortable here too. There's clear lines to develop. There's activity. There's already a piece up.
Agreed. Still, I might have preferred knight G5 to this. I like having a bishop on F7 as a protection.
A little worried that the king only has light squares to run away to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't really want to go to E7 if you're attacked on
Yeah,
the
exactly.
A2
I always
G8 diagonal.
tell people if your bishop on F8 is developed, you can't be mated.
Yeah, good point.
It's not always true, but the king should be able to go to F8. Because you can imagine a knight on E5 now and then a pawn on F7, the king has to go to E7 and you have knight takes E6. That's one of the ideas, usually.
Exactly. Usually in those situations, it's like the computer always mates me with a knight to G8 or a knight to H8. He gets a mate on the back row. Like, oh, not again.
I don't think B takes C6 was a move before, and I think Jasugi worked that out. You have to allow white to get those two knights for the queen. So
Right.
this is
Now
a
the
game.
question is
This
you
is a
got-
game.
Yeah,
He's
you got
looking
three
at pawn
knights.
at D2 check first, I guess, just to slow down white castling, getting safe. I would have
I'm
thrown
surprised
it
he
in
didn't
on a
throw
D2
into
check.
pawn D2 there just for
I agree wholeheartedly. The moment you mentioned D2, I was thinking, let's go. like jump all over that. So here we have to play bishop H5 check and then cover the F3, put a knight in the way. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see bishop at H5 check, because then pawn at G6. If you back off the G4, then H5 is supported.
No, I was going to go like something like bishop to H5 check. You go pawn to G6, and then I would play something like F4. I was
attack the knight. I see.
Yeah, right. Resolve that tension there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now bishop H5 is tricky. Doesn't work, but Jasugi wants him to play bishop H5.
Yeah.
And then just run to D7 and say, okay, I'm going to checkmate you.
Yeah, this last move, H3, that was a showstopper. I was like, uh-oh. Now I feel like it's really gone wrong for white.
So bishop takes G2 looks natural here, because if you take with the F4 knight, knight H3 is going to be mating with queen at G1, rook takes G1, knight F2. And if
Yep.
bishop takes g2, if you took with the other knight, knight h takes g2, you had pawn at f3, which looked promising.
Absolutely.
But okay, he's continuing on light squares. As is catask, like everything's on the light squares, g2 and f3 at the moment.
That's a nasty move. Pawn taking the pawn on c2. Just saying that I'm going to use it. For a moment there, I thought knight f3 was mate, but there was a bishop on e2.
You'd almost forget about the c8 bishop, but it's still there. And knight f4 is coming.
Yeah. And a good bishop it is, yeah.
I think this is right from Jasugi, just to keep pushing non-stop.
We see how awkward it is to defend with knights when you only have knights in hand.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't do a good job of defending g2 when you always got threats of knight h3 to follow.
Yeah, they do a good job of helping your opponent. A knight is an attacking piece, not a defending piece.
Right.
Yeah, for instance, if white plays knight at f4, black simply takes on
Take
g2.
G2. Yeah, that looks winning. Because knight at h3, and you have to take with the king. You have to take with the king.
Not desirable.
Okay, black still has to win.
Agreed.
It's, I mean, material-wise, but black's got a queen for a pawn, and the initiative.
Ooh.
And knight at e6. That's sensible.
So he wants to go bishop h3 check.
That's the best piece that white has on the board, that knight on f4. So knight at e6 is sensible.
Rook to g1.
Okay, but you have to win the game 5 times over to beat catask. So
we were joking the other day that one of these players likes to make fortresses, right?
Right. No, I think when we were doing the test, you were saying something to the effect that on move 80, well, that's that rook g1, pawn g2, bishop f1. That's a defensive fortress you don't see every day.
This is a personal favorite of Catask. Actually, he often does this, like in close positions. He often plays king h1, rook g1 voluntarily. So this is actually something of a trademark Catask, if you want.
So you would say that he has an opposite idea of Magnus. Magnus says, I don't believe in fortresses. This guy definitely believes in fortresses.
I believe in fortresses.
All you got to do is click your heels together.
But white's okay now. Like,
it's weird. Like, why is white?
Material is equal.
Knight to c2, perhaps.
Yeah, sack on e6 now. Well.
Well, now
you gotta get rid
of
the
understand.
G3 knight, I think, at h4 at the moment.
Well, here white is just getting killed along the first rank, right? Oh, I think he did.
Yeah, I liked it better when you could capture that knight on e6 with a rook.
Exactly. Ooh, I think he should have taken on.
No, this is black's. Looks like bishop at e3 still, but
Queen.
well, maybe it's not over.
Oh. What?
80 moves. Let's go.
80 moves.
26
Let's
more.
go.
Rook takes g3 maybe.
Okay.
And then queen b1, b1 queen.
I like this move, queen at h4. It's hard to attack the queen.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an outpost for the queen, if there is such a concept.
Oh, pawn to b1 equals. Well,
both players still a long way safe.
What?
Oh, catask
It's only a
time.
pawn.
Rook takes.
Oh, knight at
Knight
h6.
It's an
h6.
eight
Watch out.
on h6. Yes. Oh my goodness.
All right, only 17 more moves to go.
Well, they made a big deal of it in the World Championship in Dubai, the longest
Yes. What was
game.
120?
136
136.
That's
Yeah.
and it was
beat
a
Victor Korchnoi. Yeah.
and a decisive result.
Right. Then the question is, what's the longest Crazy House World Championship?
We've nearly breached 100. I'm sure I've played some against Oppo Wesen that have been in the 90s, more than once.
90s.
But well, we'll get to 80 on this game. We were joking, but
Feels it. Feels like it.
this is like phase 4 of the
playing.
game. You've already played 4 games worth.
This is the middle game.
Okay, something dropped. Oh, I was expecting something to drop on
At
G4,
e3.
but-
At e3 now.
Yeah, 83.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. That clears some cobwebs.
Now the pawns are starting to fall and knight at g4.
Right.
I would have gone pawn at e3 first,
Two.
but still good anyway.
Okay, 80 moves breached. Can we breach 100 on the last game of today?
Wow.
White's still safe. So is black.
I
Just take that. That also works.
Uh-oh. Knight g3 threatened. He's covered both threats.
Yeah, at g4 or bishop e3.
Yeah, you have to start getting resourceful here.
Exactly.
Okay, so is it like the third middle game where something went wrong for one of the players? With pawn f2?
Yeah, pawn f2.
Okay,
Yes.
we're still not home. We're gonna make 200. This is amazing.
Take
And
Now
f2.
it's, o
Oh, take
it's
f2.
over here.
I should have taken f2.
He sure should have.
Look at that beautiful row of pawns and the bishop on h6 covering everything.
Yeah. Seems like a lot. And I mean, yeah, a big head count got devoured on F2. He said,
Yeah,
I
but
need
how over is this actually?
We're 103 and it's still not decisive yet. Ooh, knight at
there's
g4.
White king threats now, so this is not
Wow, what a move.
Wow.
Knight to
trivial as you would think.
G4.
In
I mean, you
f8.
could,
I mean, queen takes g3 probably
Ooh.
wins, but it's a scary move to
This is
play at
scary.
move 104.
exactly. He's fighting back impressively well.
Uh-oh. No, black's in trouble now.
Something has
That's,
gone wrong, though.
Dangerous.
That's for defense when the king is running over to c8.
Yes,
The
it is.
bishop takes d6, or is there a
Wow.
counter then?
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
he
It's
could
just
have taken
endurance. This is White's win now.
Knight c5. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but knight c5 is not mating. Yeah, just defend, of course. Why not?
They know it's the last game. They're trying to prolong the show a little bit longer.
They're going
Yeah,
for
they're doing a
136
great
moves.
job.
136
Great
moves,
job.
yeah.
This is a reminiscent of an old advertisement. I remember there was Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras, I think it was.
Going back.
And they
north.
played through
Mhm.
multiple seasons. They played through multiple seasons until the ball boy
Yeah, on
falls
different
asleep.
locations, they were up on a tower in on the top of a hotel high up, and then they played their way down into the ocean. And yeah, I remember the commercial. It was fun. Yeah.
I remember a commercial about the Australian swimmer Torpedo. So he jumps into the ocean from Sydney, and he's just going. And he gets to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and he touches the bridge, and he goes, "One." I thought that was pretty good. Oh my God.
Jasugi's
How
back.
did Black ended up with 16 pawns on the board. I mean, and White has like no pawns.
It might be over now. Actually, this is tough now for
But
Catask
Catask
to
was
defend.
winning.
You can take
Catask
on
was winning.
F2 now.
Where he
This
played,
looks,
where Catask played knight at h3, I thought he could just play bishop takes d6 and start attacking this.
yeah, but there was pawn at F2 and a back attack on the black squares, and I mean when they've been playing so long, it's scary. Yeah, but
Wow.
I agree.
There's rook at c7, knight at a6 could be possible with the bishop on f1. It might help.
This is a
Ooh.
basic
Rook at
Crazyhouse
a7,
ending.
rook takes, bishop takes a6.
Uh-oh.
No, I think it's defensible.
Uh-oh.
Because the queen covers the
Yeah,
7.
Queen
you got
covers
king
bishop,
a7.
king
so
a7.
there's
King a7.
Oh, that's mean.
Oh,
That
come
is
on,
just-
don't be too sorry for him. He's going to be up 14-6.
True.
Knight a5 first, though, maybe was a chance.
Yeah, that's
Oh my gosh.
They're going to get to 150.
The last great act of defiance there.
This is what it takes to win a game against Catask.
yep.
Oh,
All right, and as you said, Yasser,
151
as you said,
moves,
Yasser,
wow.
1 is what you.
They have the World Darts Championship going on in Holland these days, and it's like 150. 151. Wow.
If you survive 151 moves versus Stockfish, it resigns automatically on Lichess. That's a
And
nice
somebody's saying in the game chat, Jasugi, Mr. Free, rook on move number 96.
I picked up on that. I missed that. Yeah, and I think it was a night hanging too. Nice.
Wow, incredible finish. That's
Good stuff.
Certainly a record. Could be the longest Crazyhouse game recorded. Certainly in a match of this caliber, we've not seen 150 broken.
Right.
So yeah, that tops the, what was it, 130 moves in the other World Championship.
Right.
To 150 here.
136, yeah. We got that beat.
Jeez, but amazing. 14-6 Catask. That really sets the tone for the next couple legs, because Catask has the opportunity to possibly even win it in the next series, in the next 20 games. So the first person beyond 30 points. Yeah, what can I say? That's an amazing game to finish on.
Well,
It's a coincidence we're talking about long games.
Yeah, exactly. What I can say is thank you. It was an enjoyable match to watch and to call with you all. Thank you for for being here with us. That was very, very, very nice. Oh boy. Justin, so we're going to do it all again on Sunday, are we?
Yeah, so we'll be here again
same time, same channel?
Yeah, less than 48 hours. So pretty much 45 hours from now. If you're watching live, it'll be same time, same place. Yeah, I'm surprised how well 6 commentators has worked, actually. We haven't stepped on each other's toes, so we've got a very polite group. I'll say another thank you to Brothfish, another 1510. Wonderful donations today. There's been, looks like over $100 has gone into the pot, so that's very generous from the community. Yeah, we might close it off there.
Just one last question.
Yeah.
What do you think Jasugi should do to turn this around?
Good question. Play a lot of 1-0 Crazyhouse against everyone he can find. Get match fit.
I think you had one thing he should do is look into that piece sacrifice line after e4 knight f6, but because I think e4 knight f6 is a very crucial line here, and if black is not okay there, I think Jasugi has a lot more chances with white, and I know that line is very strong for white. I think the move is knight ge2 instead of knight at f2, but it's very difficult to play. But if you really look into that, so that Catask cannot play that knight e4 f takes e4 line, then Jasugi's chances with white increase dramatically, I think, and I think that's what he needs. He needs a couple of easy wins with white, so that he can focus on trying to turn around the black games.
Yeah,
I think it's a crucial line, actually.
to that point, Zixon, I think I mentioned during the match I would have switched to d4, just because I.
That's
you know,
another.
if-
That's
if you-
another option. But Catask is very good at defending d4, and with e4 you can get a few more easy wins. Use your energy to find those amazing comebacks as black that Jasugi is capable of. And he's down now, so he needs some easy wins, I think. So I think look up how to beat that line, and then hope that you have other ways of beating the other options that the Catask have against e4.
Yeah. Any other advice from the other commentators for Jasugi?
I think Jasugi did a good job of mixing up the openings from the black side against e4, and I think he should keep a few ideas in mind so he can switch between various openings, because this game here, this is the one that was the bishop c4, is that right?
I don't know. It was 150
opening.
moves ago, so.
He had a few different ideas, and as long as you have 3 or 4 ideas that can get Catask out of book on move 6, move 8, I thought he did reasonably well. At least the idea is good. Maybe he can just come up with a few other ideas against e4 with black.
Yeah, okay. So a little bit in the opening, and possibly, Catask maybe just a bit more tenacious today, a bit more match fit from getting through the candidates in such successful fashion. So, yeah, some practice, some study, but I found most importantly, good sleep is really valuable. So yeah, so we'll see if we can get more than 151 moves next time we see you. But it's going to be a hard one to top. Okay, yeah, nice question to conclude, Gneas. That's a good one. All right, we'll close there. Really appreciate the time from all of you, and for being so nice together on stream. It's been really lovely.
My pleasure.
All right.
Our pleasure. Gentlemen, have a good evening.
All right.
Bye from Australia.
See you
Take
Sunday.
care there. All right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You.